Ramos.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening, ma'am.
First of all, I would like to congratulate our District 4 new councilman, Councilman Canada. Welcome to our city and of course to serve in our district. And I would like to tell you that even though I know that I was on the opposite side, that doesn't mean, and we spoke about that we shall work together regardless of you. For a very good reason that I think we're all should be in the same side of bringing the city forward in the most positive manner and be successful. I would like to commend you all. I saw the last meeting on YouTube, and I was very happy to see some of the decisions that were taken on the agenda, the way you all handled it. Yes, and we do need our part, but I thank God that we're taking it a step at a time because there are certain priorities that we must meet first. And yes, as a community member, infrastructure to me has been first and foremost important need for our community, such as the sewer service again. And I have contacted Lower Valley Water, and I'm very happy to hear that I think that's something that's becoming our way. But again, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing everybody continue to work in unity. And even though there might be any difference in opinion, let it be out of respect to keep our city going in the right direction. Don't let the media come back with any negativity. Continue moving forward with a positive note and knowing that our city can be blessed according to your actions and the way you make the decisions that are very most important to us, the citizens of Socorro. So may God bless you, and of course you will see me a little bit more often. If I see something that we need, I would like to communicate to you, and of course I will contact our new councilman in our district to make sure that we move forward in the right direction. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, ma'am.
Luis Cicada.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Cicada. Tenemos de 28 años de ser ciudad de Socorro y nunca han pasado, los que han pasado aquí, nunca han dicho nada. Como ejemplo está la Carrera y la Norloop, que también ya tiene mucho que se empezó, quién sabe cuándo se vaya a terminar, no dicen cuándo. ¿Por qué cuentan tantas mentiras? O es que el DAS dijo que iban a poner policías para los funcionarios de tráfico que se juntan en las calles en las tardes y en las mañanas y no han hecho nada. Otra más de sus mentiras. ¿Por qué no tienen tiempo de atender el trabajo que prometieron y no se ha hecho nada? Porque no sigue porque sigue la corrupción, todavía está muy atrasado. Para estar en el concilio se necesita querer a Socorro, querer la gente de Socorro, cumplir todo lo que se pueda de lo que le han prometido. Cuando andan en campaña, todo prometen y después no hacen nada. Yo y mi compañero tenemos 6 años ayudándoles. Nosotros no estamos por dinero, nosotros porque queremos la gente de Socorro, por eso estamos aquí pidiéndoles que cumplan lo que han prometido, porque nosotros sin ningún sueldo les andamos ayudando a la ciudad de Socorro, porque nosotros queremos que se vean mejorías. Ya en 28 años nunca se ha visto nada de mejorías. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Y nomás para aclarar, señor Cigarla, el proyecto Horizon es por el Estado, como es de la ciudad de Socorro. La construcción, todo eso es del Estado de Texas, no es de la ciudad de Socorro. Gracias.
Sergio Jaime.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Sergio Jaime
Buenas tardes.
y mi conformidad comisionados han apoyado con el drenaje, pavimento de alcantarillado y nosotros hemos pagado mucho dinero al condado, al estado, lo que ustedes quieran y no tenemos nada porque no han hecho nada ustedes sobre esto. 28 años y eso no es justo, señores. Hagan algo porque también pagamos mucho dinero al condado. Hagan y no se traten de burlarse de uno cuando uno está aquí. Hagan lo que tengan que hacer, por eso los elegimos a ustedes, por las personas que según ustedes los eligieron, que les ayudaron del condado. No anduvieron como nosotros anduvimos, ayudándolos a ustedes. Así es que pongan algo de su parte y es justo. Aquí es la casa del jabonero, el que no cae resbala. Y aquí hay lobos disfrazados y ovejas. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Ralph Leal.
Mayor Council,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon. A lot of people come up here and just complain. Well, I'm going to complain today. I had a problem with the city when our city manager was out of town basking in the sun in Hawaii. And the problem was handled by our acting city manager professionally, quickly, and I mean, I have no problem with the results that we had. And I mean, everything that happened quickly, and I didn't have to hear one story about Compton, California. I mean, that was a blessing in itself. But another problem that we do have that we do need to resolve is filling our commissions. I'm not mentioning any names, but there is one spot that we do need to fill in civil service that last meeting we were one person. If one person hadn't shown up, we wouldn't have had our meeting. We had 2 people that were absent and one almost didn't show up. So we need to fill all of our commissions and get them all up to and with qualified people that will show up to the meetings, not just you appoint them and then they don't show up to meetings. We have to have people that will show up and are really responsible. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Another speaker.
Okay. Moving on to item number 5, presentation of certificates of appreciation. Chief Clerk.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, good evening. I'm Carlos Maldonado, Chief of your Police Department. I would like to take this opportunity to, as a city and as a community, in particular the City Council members, to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude. A couple of weeks ago, we had an event that initially began from the military base involving some explosive material. Through the diligence and their tenacity and very thorough investigation, they found out that some of that material had been sold to another company here in Socorro, Texas. They quickly put a multi-agency task force together, a team together of EOD operatives and technicians, and to me this represents, it's the incredible spirit of cooperation that the law enforcement community and the military have working in conjunction with each other. It's maximizing limited resources, it's putting together training and intelligence and all these wonderful things together to mitigate the potential event from escalating and being catastrophic. That's exactly what they did. They converged on Socorro. They mitigated a situation that could literally have been explosive. I want to take the time this afternoon or this evening to recognize each of the individuals. We've put together or crafted certificates of appreciation. It's from us collectively, and I wanted to take the time tonight to recognize these individuals. I will just kind of preempt this by saying there could be some individuals that we not overlooked, but they weren't mentioned because it was so broad in scope. They're here tonight. We really want to recognize them individually. So if I could have you maybe come up, Mayor, whatever you think, we can call them up, present the certificates, and just really thank them for such an outstanding job.
Yes. Thank you. Sergeant Vicky Martinez. Officer Jordan Pacheco. Detective Michael Martinez. Officer Andy Robles. Mark Scout. Detective Robert Atalejo. Officer Daniel Leza. Officer Francisco Torres. Officer Hugo Vargas. Officer Judy Oviedo. Let me go ahead and get all the police officers. Move on to the next police officer. Thank you, appreciate it. Don't come up here, we can do a picture with them first. Squeeze out, yes. Captain Brian Trubisky. Captain Sean Ashby. Lieutenant Jordan Papa. Thank you. Sergeant Robert Weidenauer. Sergeant Sean Kristen. Douglas Brown. Specialist Garrett Staples. Specialist Michael Kilty. Specialist Will C. Keller. Specialist Christopher Kelty. Thank you, appreciate it. And then we also like to recognize Specialist Eric Wolpert. And Specialist Jonathan Baker.
council members, if I can just close with remarks. And again, I think what we saw, and we see this all the time, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the community to also understand that it's everybody working together to serve not only our community, but our country. And it's taking all these resources, putting them together to maximize, again, the quality of life of people in our community. And the bottom line is, you all make this happen. And thank you. We didn't have your support as well, and I know people complain about other things. But there are other things that go on behind the scenes that people don't realize. And your support makes all of this possible. So I want to thank you again for the tremendous support you've offered us. You've done some good things, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to bring out a consent agenda.
Yes.
Item number 11,
And approve the rest?
and approve the rest.
We have,
The motion is to take out item number 11 out of the consent agenda regularly.
we have a motion to go ahead and approve the consent agenda with the exception of item number 11, which will be discussed in the regular agenda. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Mr. Fox?
No, I'd like to know more about what this pertains and what it's about and why we need to have city manager go to this meeting. You know, I understand that Mr. Rodriguez is involved in that TML committee, but I'd like to know why it's necessary that our city manager attend that bottom line.
Okay. All right.
Motion made by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Gonda. Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Gonda?
Aye.
Mr. Cox? And Ms. Mendoza? The motion is to approve the consent and to invite everybody that is. Okay. Motion passes.
All right, moving on to item number 11, approval of travel for at-large city representative Rene Rodriguez and city manager William Murphy Jr. to attend the TML Region 4 meeting in La Marie, Texas, February 13th through 2015. Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Perez to go ahead and approve. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, the reason why I asked Mr. Murphy that you wanted to go with is because I feel that one person, one individual cannot do it all. There's like, for example, we went to the council of mayors, and we were networking, and therefore that's why we got a lot of feedback, and we also got some issues resolved, as a matter of fact, because of that council. And matter of fact, when we were there, I spoke to the individuals from, for an example, AT&T, and the issue that we had, they notified the mayor 8 minutes. That's what it took from that. I was in another looking at another section where the mayor was somewhere else looking at, I think, immigration reform or something. So we weren't together, but we were in different classes, and there's where we need to be. I would like to, Mr. Norfleet or anybody that wishes to go with me so that we can network, because basically that's what it is. We need to, there's things that we might lose if, we're not there at different places at the same time.
Just really quick before Mr. Rodriguez goes, just to be clear, it will be a one-day trip at rotation, if I understand correctly, and really the only cost that would be for Mr. Norfolk going would be the $50 for the registration and the per diem, so it would be like $80 to take him along, which really isn't much.
It's
Mr.
actually
Rodriguez.
$25.
What's his other offer?
Yes. I don't see anything wrong with this. As a matter of fact, I think it's a good thing. I believe that they do bring good things to the city, so called a lot of information. Some people don't, but I know that they do. So my motion would be to approve the item the way it is.
We already have a motion. Yeah. Mr. Perez.
What's
No,
the- no,
No, he made the motion to take it out, and then they made it to approve right now. That's what we're discussing it.
Just a comment that it seemed like it was going to be a day trip, and it's not like always. It's up out there, and that's a different story.
I mean, I think as long as it goes to the sand, state purpose there, right?
Now, don't stay in the hot, what is it, the hot spring? What is it?
No, but that's not for me. I'm going to the desert.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything else, just capping up on what Mr. Rodriguez said, this is the first time that we're actually sending somebody to an actual meeting. The last time that we went to in August was to select the representatives for our region, and thankfully Mr. Rodriguez was selected. So we don't really know if it will be like you said, where he's in a meeting, and Mr. Norfolk can go ahead and talk to the other city managers or council members, because if we just send Mr. Rodriguez by himself and he's only going to the meeting, we miss the opportunity to interact with other members for just $35 or whatever it is.
The cost is not an issue, I just wonder, because for one thing, my answer, the bottom line is, we've had issues that have come up, our city managers that have been on vacation or away at different conferences and stuff like that. And, I need to know, I want to know why it was necessary that you need to go. I understand your role with TML, and that is right, and I don't have an issue with you going. I have an issue with the fact that our city manager needs to be here to take care of our city, in my opinion, and that's just my opinion alone. But I want to know what all it entails. As I understand, it was probably one of those things that you brought up the last minute, see if you don't want to go. So,
Wanted to see where to go. And the reason why,
is
this is the first.
there a necessity for you to go? I mean,
And what I'm saying is, this is the first time that I'm, as an elected official for TML, this is the first meeting we're going to have, so I would love for him to go with me, so that if I am put in a different section, you know, Mr. Norfolk can work.
I mean, it's like I said right now, I mean, it's always better, it's the first time that we're gonna go. The first time that I went with the mayor's conference in DC, if I had somebody else with me, it would have been great. You know, I wouldn't have been like a deer in headlights the whole time, because the president was there and the vice president, this time the mayor was there and he did networking while I was doing elsewhere. So I mean, the first time that we're going, I mean, for minimal cost, yeah, Mr. Norfolk, you heard Mr. Duran saying what a great job Mr. Lata did while Mr. Norfolk was gone, so I don't think it will be an issue with him being gone. I mean, I think it's great that he gets to interact with other managers, council members, and learn as he goes.
okay.
Good? Alright.
Mr. Pettis?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Canada?
Aye.
Mr. Cobb?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Alright, council, I'd like to go ahead and request that item number 18 be moved up to be discussed next. We do have a representative of the council board here present, so I don't keep her too long.
Motion to move item 18.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez to go ahead and move item number 18 to be next on the agenda, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez.
Mr. Pettis?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Canada? Mr. Cobb?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Solis? Yes, motion passes.
Item number 18, discussion action authorization for the submission of an application for funding under the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG, 2015-2016 funding cycle in the amount of $624,161 for the improvements to the Sparsa Arroyo culvert on I-10 to reduce the impact of flooding in the city of Socorro. Before we make a motion, Mr. Solano, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Ivan Rodriguez with the Special Projects Office. So you all know we've been working with the Council of Governments and other entities to put an application together requesting most of the regional allocation to implement a hazard mitigation plan or program. Within the city of Socorro, we're proposing to improve the culvert from the Sparsa Arroyo and I-10. So in my last update, I explained the process that we're following, and we had Sandet Gutierrez here to give us an overview of these procedures. Tonight, we're approving the resolution to submit the application. The next step would be to do an advertising on the newspaper on Sunday, and then we would start packaging the application to submit it hopefully the end of next week. Yesterday, we had an update for the Council of Governments, and we're having some challenges that the Council of Governments is experiencing in their role in facilitating with the other entities. So we wanted to have an immediate here tonight and give you all an update where we're at, and that will have Council hopefully can make a decision on the next step that we take on this.
Well, can you go ahead and give us the update of what happened in this past week, as we know?
As you all know, the Council of Governments has been working with the different grantees. Back in 19th of July, they had a regional meeting in Marfa, in which all the cities within our region agreed to allow the city of Socorro to apply for most of the regional allocation, which is usually between 700,000 to 800,000 dollars. Coming back, we proposed to do a joint application with the County of El Paso. That way, the two entities will be submitting this one application. Council of Governments checked with the Texas Department of Agriculture, which is the agency that provides this funding, and they recommended or suggested that the City of Socorro submits the application on their own without having to go to the county. Since everybody's in agreement, it should not be an issue. It's my understanding that, and I'm going to let Ms. Quintanilla talk more about that, but there's an issue between the chair of the committee that reviews and decides on the procedures to apply for this grant. She feels that the city should not be applying for this grant on their own or accepting or applying for this amount. Some people have complained that we're asking for too much money for this project when other entities also need the funds. Usually one entity that's complaining, and it's that entity is consulting from another element. I feel comfortable telling you this. It's mostly a consultant that usually applies for these grants for other cities. And if we submit the full application, they will be able to submit. That's just my opinion. I'm going to let Ms. Quintanilla explain to you what has happened since yesterday.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Melissa Quintanilla, I am the Regional Director for Regional Services that oversees this funding source. Annette Gutierrez is not able to be here, she's in Austin. So going back in July, we did have our Regional Review Committee, and this whole project was explained to the committee members. The individual right now that it does have some objections in the way we're proceeding with this project was at the meeting. He did provide public comment. It was all disclosed, but at the same time, our board chair, Judge Beard, from Brewster County, former Brewster County judge, was not at the meeting. And we, the Council of Governments, failed to go ahead and go back to Judge Beard and say, this is what planned out, this is what we're projecting, to ensure that she was on board with the way the application was going to be submitted. You can submit the application on a single jurisdiction or multi-jurisdiction. And this is what I was talking about, where when we went back to TDA and said, well, let's do a joint application between El Paso County and City of Socorro, TDA basically said, no, it'd be best that City of Socorro submit the application. In talking with Judge Beard, once the contractor had problems with this, moving forward to today, she basically said it'd be best that El Paso County be part of the application. So right now, we're working with El Paso County to see if they can go ahead and be part of this application, because there are some procedures that need to be followed as well, like the public notice, the resolution, the public comment. And so we're working right now to see what we can do to be able to go ahead and get this completed by the time that the application is due, and that's February 28th. So it does give us a short time to do this, but we're trying to do everything possible to go ahead and make sure that we move forward with this project. In addition, when we went to each community within El Paso County to explain the project and to say, listen, can you go ahead and forward your amount, don't apply, and let's get that money to to the City of Socorro, so we can go ahead and at least have this type of mitigation project to mitigate part of that flooding problem that they're experiencing year after year. Anthony agreed. Vinton is ineligible to apply for the funds. Horizon agreed. Clint agreed. And of course, El Paso County agreed. Since then, yes, this contractor has contacted these communities, and so now Anthony appears to be submitting their own project. So basically, the allocation that we would be receiving from Anthony is no longer on the table. The same is true with Clint. When we spoke to Mayor Reinhardt, he did express that one of his council persons did feel that there are some residents in Clint that don't have some gas lines, and that would probably be a good project. Although the amount that they're anticipating is just not, it's lower. It's lower than what is being requested, so we can probably use those funds to augment the City of Socorro's project. And then with Horizon, we're going to go ahead and talk to Judge Beard tomorrow, simply because when we do a joint application, we also have to prove that the residents from that jurisdiction, from that community are benefiting from this project, and since Horizon is north of Socorro, we're gonna go ahead and try to see what we can do to be able to show the benefit that Horizon as well can go ahead and be part of this project. So this is where we're at. The resolution does talk about, an amount of $624,000. At this point, probably that amount will be less, depending on the outcome of conversation with Judge Beard. It also depends on the outcome with other jurisdiction, which is Del City. Del City, because of the census, they're over the property, the low to mod, and so they're actually doing some surveys. We'll find out tomorrow whether they meet that threshold. If they do not meet that threshold, then that money that would have gone to Del City is split among all the eligible entities. And so right now, if we include the eligible entities for this fund source, we're looking at 17 applicants. If Del City is out, then we're looking at 16 applicants.
Mr. Flex, that question.
And I've actually heard two statements. One is that without respect, because I know that you're representing the COG, correct?
Yes.
That one contractor would have that much leverage with those elected officials. That to me tells me that those conversations between the COG and the municipalities or localities was not very strong to be able to support our intent. That's one. Two, in terms of what is better, or what is best, whether we are with El Paso in the application or we apply independently, I'm still not clear on that. Why was there a change of perspective on it?
We'll see, Mr. Perez,
That's
jumping in on that. We actually, we spoke with Commissioner Leon, went to go meet with me because it was originally thought that we would go ahead and do it with the county. The day of the meeting that we went, Mr. Northley was there, Mr. Lyle was there. We went and we were informed by TDA that they didn't have to do it because it would primarily be for Socorro. So based on TDA, which is Texas Department of Agriculture, they didn't have to be involved. So that went forward, we told him to go ahead and start the application process. He brought it towards council, we went and approved it. It was only recently that the chair said, she realized what was happening, she was advised of it, and she said, no, I would feel a lot better if it was done with Socorro and the county. So we're back to where we were supposed to be months ago. But
that pushes us back on everything else. All the ducks that you're shooting out a few ducks there, because none of them, you're having to backpedal, and now whatever documentation was required as us independently asking for those funds, now we have to have those documents with El Paso.
well, the options at this point, we had a conference call with the COG, Mr. Olavi was there, Mr. Norton was there, Mr. Roney was there. We talked this morning, and really at this point in time, we spoke with the county, and I mean, it's very unlikely that they will meet the deadlines to do it with us by the end of the month. I mean, they would have to call special meetings, get everything in order. I mean, it would be really unlikely for them to do that. And so I asked the question that if we were to wait on them and say, well, go ahead and wait, because with them, we have a higher chance of obtaining more money than what is actually just allocated to Socorro. We were advised that if we were to do that, and if they didn't meet the deadline, then the application, we wouldn't get that money, and we would also be forgoing our own money because we would not be applying for ourselves. So the main option that we have at this point in time, unless the chair changes her mind because of the fact that the county can't meet the deadlines, is for us to apply for our money and our money only, unless there's something that has changed that I'm not aware of.
That is correct.
If I may, Mayor, so this summary that we were given here is not the same summary that we could be given because of today's
This
meeting?
happened just yesterday. I mean, like this happened.
So this doesn't.
No.
So, and this one from
Well, Larry, go ahead.
yes, I'm sorry.
So, again, we're gonna meet with Judge Beard tomorrow and explain give her an update as to where we're at, and we're gonna see if she'll just go ahead and say, okay, let's go ahead and proceed as a single jurisdiction. That's one of the options. If you can is okay with the gentleman's agreement. They do not see anything wrong with the way we're proceeding. But right now, we just need to convince the chair that, it's the right thing. One of the things that we also failed to do is to get that commitment from each of those jurisdictions in writing. Get an MOU saying you are committing your dollars to the city of Socorro, and that is on us. That is on me because I did not do that. And so at this time, we're going to go ahead and talk to Judge Beard and say, listen, the timeline with El Paso County might not go. It's going to jeopardize the city of Socorro for them to even get their own allocation. So we're hoping that she will see that and we can move forward. I will let you know that it is troubling for us because we did reach out to every single jurisdiction, the elected officials. We explained the situation. They were part of the committee review in July, and none of them had a problem with it. They were good, they were okay, they understand, yes, absolutely. And so the objection is with the contractor, because obviously it's going to affect his bottom line because he's not going to be able to administer those contracts. The other thing is in getting it in writing, it's difficult and politically because now you're saying I'm going to give the dollars that should come to my jurisdiction to help out another jurisdiction. So that was very difficult for us to get something in writing from an elected official because then of course election.
And I'm sorry, it's just that was my concern from the very outset, that we were very close, and that's what I was going to my question. What is the absolute drop deadline for submission?
The 28th February.
And I did ask them in the morning as well that because Anibal had advised us that we had to move quickly on this because of that deadline. And so I asked, you can say I want to apply, doesn't mean that you will apply or that you make a deadline. So I asked them, what is the possibility if they say yes, if they should be, whether they should. Unless I'm mistaken, this morning as well, we also want to remember is that the elected officials who were there was Mayor Vela, Mayor Reinhardt. And so just like us, I can go to a meeting and say, yeah, I don't have an issue with giving the money to Verizon. But if one of our council members wants to put an item on the agenda for it to be voted on, my word really has no say anymore because now the council can decide. And from my understanding is that both Clint and Anthony are going through that. It's not necessarily the whole council saying, no, we don't want to do this. It's a member putting that on the agenda, so there's the possibility they might go through. There's also a possibility they might be voted down.
And I guess it's just the idea that gentleman's agreement is waived. In fact, and so I think, and I'm disappointed that this is something for the greater good. I hope that those areas never experience the flooding that we do, or another natural disaster. But the thing is that it's once you've gone through it, and I did very minimal. My colleagues have been working at it a lot more. That I hope nothing happens because then they're going to be in that situation. And we're strapped for dollars just like everybody else, and this gives them a great help.
Absolutely, and those of you that know me, I am born and raised in Socorro, so it is a project that's dear to my heart.
So the question that we'll just have to, my questions is, so by tomorrow we should know whether or not the judge says yes, go ahead and do it or no. But with that, ultimately, the amount of money would change regardless of whether she says yes or no. So for our own sake, what is the best thing to do? Because Anibal was telling me earlier that we have to put a number to it, we have to have something. So what is the best way to proceed for us at this point in time?
Best case scenario.
No, just for us to proceed, because the number will change anyway.
Right.
Looking at the timelines that we still have next council meeting to approve either another resolution. We can approve the next resolution if we're hurt, in case somebody changes their heart and we're able to continue with this. Or the next council meeting, we have the exact amount. Because regardless, I don't think we'll have an amount tomorrow. It's going to take a couple of days by the time we find out who's going to apply, who's not going to apply, and how much money they're getting. So we can come back to the next council meeting and submit another resolution with a better number.
Right.
We don't have to go back and modify the whole application to change everything, get the engineering and all that.
So your recommendation is to table this and
Postpone
postpone it for the next meeting?
Actually, you could approve it. I don't think it'll hurt to approve
We
it.
didn't put it into the, it heard us to say we approve this number and then come back the next meeting and say, never mind, we'll change your minds, let's do this number instead.
No, that's fine. You don't have to, but you have the discretion to do that.
We can approve it. Motion. Alright, so we have a motion to approve, do you have a second?
Second.
we need a motion to approve, with the condition?
Condition that it, the number.
No,
Certain number of suggestion.
No, yeah, we can go ahead and approve it, and it falls apart, it doesn't look good, we can bring up a different resolution at the next council meeting with the updated number. So this is just in case they say, yeah, go ahead, we're not gonna apply, everything's peachy, here's your full amount, so they will already be.
No, that's what I'm saying, that if we do and again, for my own clarification, if we were to just have an open amount, would that not help in terms of solidifying numbers? I mean, if you already have it in hand with whatever amounts is the final amount.
Well, the program guidance state that we have to state the amount. I don't think it hurts to just approve it and it can come back and we need to make a change. We still have time.
I asked this question earlier too.
The less prompts we have further,
Right, more,
I
less
think
time.
is, I want to make it perfect.
Alright.
We just don't want to miss this opportunity.
So we have a motion to approve made by Mr. Gatsa, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. Any further discussion? All right.
Mr. Pettit?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Gabbard? Mr. Thomas? And Ms. Solis?
Thank you, ma'am. Can we go ahead, Jim, on 12? Just so council is aware, we have a second reading and adoption for this ordinance. However, we don't have the public hearing listed. So I asked Mr. Norfleet and Jim, we have to please.
The safest thing to do is just delete it and come back to it later.
Make a motion to delete.
We have a motion to go ahead and delete item number 12, made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Gandara. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, I had some questions, but we'll answer when we bring it back. And I hope that our financial officer is here to answer some questions.
You don't have any questions that need to come out now?
No,
Might need to be
There's no
answered
need.
prior to the next.
There's no need.
Sure. Yes, please.
Mr. Pettit?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Gabbard?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Solis? Motion passes.
All right, moving on to item number 13. Introduction, first reading, and calling for a public hearing of ordinance 360, an ordinance amending the city of Socorro's master plan and changing the zoning of tract 6A, Lake Park Survey 293, 6257 at 1124 Horizon Boulevard from unclassified to M1 light industrial. Planning and zoning commission recommends approval. Do we have a motion for this?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Pettis to go ahead and approve. Any discussion on this?
I have some questions.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Go ahead. Go,
Mr. Nealon?
Yes, sir.
Since this is my district, I want to make sure that I'm clear on what M1 status stands for. It does not mean that these people can try this at first, and then if that fails, that they have the M1 status, so that they can create another junkyard site.
Well,
Am I correct about the M1 status on that?
junkyard is not considered on this classification. Junkyard is on M2 plus a condition use permit on top of that. This is not it's not authorized under this classification.
I just want to be clear on that.
They're not,
We don't have to have a stipulation or anything. We don't have to have any kind of stipulation or anything on that. Okay.
you don't do the mouse. My question is just, is this okay, Jim? Can we just amend the master plan to apply through an ordinance? I mean, that's my main question. Because I mean, we're amending the master plan and changing the zoning, so I guess it's 2 in 1, because you're amending the master plan in 1, but at the same time, you're also adding a new zoning.
Yeah, but the master plan was already, the proposed change in the master plan was already addressed by council, yes, I think, by planning and zoning commission.
So we're good?
Yeah.
We don't require a hearing for the master plan change?
You do, but you can have it at the same time as you have the hearing on the ordinance, or the hearing before the planning and zoning commission.
Even though the public hearing is already conducted before. It was already conducted.
Oh, okay, okay.
So Jim, my question follow up on that is, and last time we had the gentleman here who wanted to do a junkyard across and whatnot, and it was that we couldn't amend the master plan because of whatever reason, but then we're coming back today, we're amending the master plan to satisfy the business wants to do it.
And the difference is you provided notice, you provided notice that the planning and zoning commission has recommended changing the master plan. you had the hearing
That's correct.
on changing the master plans. You've done the predicate steps.
Okay.
The other situation, you haven't done the predicate steps.
This procedure was recommended by Attorney Bergman.
I never heard.
Yes, it was recommended by.
All right, thank you, Sam. All right, we have a motion to approve and seconded.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Elias?
Aye.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
And Ms. Solis? Motion passes.
Moving on to item number 14, discussion action to authorize the chief of police to receive a dog from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office in order to start a K-9 unit, as well as a 7 to 8 week training course for the dog and hound in the U.S. Border Patrol. This dog and training will not cost the city of Coral anything, which is a savings of approximately $30,000. We have a motion made by Mrs. Rodriguez, seconded by Ms. Rodriguez. Any discussion, Ms. Rodriguez?
Well, I think it's a very good, they used to have one before, a long time ago. So I'm all for that.
Mr. Randall?
Chief Maldonado. Did we approach any grants regarding this situation? Because I went online and I noticed that there's several grants for cities, for small cities regarding this topic, K-9. And I had another issue, I had a question about the dog, because I noticed and I spoke to Barker Kennels, Jim Morgan. I don't know if you're familiar. His kennel houses most of the local police departments, K-9. And he was telling me that, these dogs, they're specialties. They're specialty animals. And not every dog is equipped to become, successful canines. And it costs money to get a good dog. So my question is, if we're going to approve and we're going to go on with this dog, what happens if he fails to train?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, good evening once again. Carlos Maldonado, your chief, Coral Police Department. Those are issues that have already been addressed. This is a K-9 that was presented to us from the El Paso County Sheriff's Department. It's already been used over the last few years. It's been sidelined just for budgetary issues. As they were reviewing their budget, I received a call from the undersheriff, Tom Whitten, who's a very good friend of mine. We were visiting and talking about expanding the organization, some of the changes that I wanted to undertake for us in our organization. He called me when this was taking place and he asked, would you be interested in the K-9? It was unexpected, but it was a very pleasant surprise. Of course, doing the cost-benefit analysis, the benefits far exceed the cost for this. Just as an example, and I brought Director Damian Montes with the U.S. Customs Border Protection K-9 program. They have already screened the K-9 for us. They can talk a little bit about it. I brought him here as a subject matter expert. This is a tremendous opportunity for the city, and you're absolutely right. Not every animal is capable of being involved in this program. So there's a testing, there's an evaluation, and there's a pre-evaluation that is already conducted. And sir, if you wouldn't mind, would it be okay if you speak on that behalf? Because it's a very good program.
No, and I'm not against it.
No, absolutely, but he'll provide subject matter expert information. It's an excellent program.
Good evening, how's everything going? Those are good, in summary, this is a great opportunity that was presented to us to assist this corporate department by Chief Maldonado. The dog was presented to us. We have probably one of the most robust selection processes for our dogs entering our organization as far as Customs and Border Protection. Our training component, we have 1,500 dogs nationwide. We do have the largest canine corps in the nation law enforcement purposes. Our selection process for our dogs before they enter our training is very, very stringent. Our return on investment effort, we're in the 95+ percentile. The dogs that come into our program, unless it's a medical issue or something that happens to the dog, it's very rare that the dog will fail out. The selection process, the selection test that we ran this specific dog through, rated up in the 2s, which number 1 is the best. The average we get are 4s and 3s. So the product that you are receiving from the El Paso County Sheriff's is phenomenal. It really is. And our position is to assist the Socorro Police Department, Chief Maldonado, in any way we can, as we help other law enforcement agencies civilian. We do the same thing for New Mexico State Police, and we also do the same thing for our international law enforcement federal partners.
I have a couple questions, ma'am.
Mr. Carl.
Chief, I think the canine idea is a good one. My understanding is this canine has not been trained at all. He's getting ready to go through the training process. Well, this dog we're going to get received, is that
Or
correct?
is this dog already trained?
So,
This dog
so
already-
remember, the canine was already deployed in the field. The canine has
What
already,
is deployed in? What's
Yes.
special? What's special?
it's narcotics.
Narcotics special?
Yes. So the canine had already worked in a law enforcement capacity for the El Paso County Sheriffs. And like Chief Maldonado said, my understanding is that through downsizing, that resource, as viable as it is, was just now allocated to the Socorro Police Department and in turn go to our academy for final certification as far as the dog team and the dog.
I think anything else, the training is for the handler and the dog, right? It's not just for the dog.
And that is correct. Remember, this is one of our first programs. I don't know that there was one as part of the police department. This is just incredible. We're beginning the program. We've already identified Officer Harrelson, you presented earlier. He will be our canine handler. He's never handled canine before, so you're absolutely right, Mayor. This is for both canine and handler. It's just a tremendous program for us to be involved in.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You can register your name.
Damien Montes.
Mr. Montes. How old is this dog?
The dog that was presented, I believe, do we know the exact age, I'm sorry, do we know the exact age of the canine? I want to say that the canine, what's that? 5 years old.
And at what age do you guys, usually decommission dog?
So it varies on the animal. On an average, like I said, our selection process for our dogs are working in the field from anywhere from 9 to 13 years. It depends on the capacity and the amount of work that they do. So the more work, the more active they do. Of course, that takes a toll on everybody. The dogs that we have in our environment on the border with searching thousands of cars daily, of course, the average year is from 9 to about 10 to 11 years. What we try to do is we want the absolute best product out there. We don't want to work in our environment, in CBP, we don't want to work the dog till it's on its lap, right? In a law enforcement capacity, you're not going to be working that dog as intensely as you would on the border. Two different environments. So the conditions for that canine to work throughout its full service life is possibly there, as long as, of course, care, welfare, and maintenance, and veterinary, and all that stuff that's in a place. Absolutely, that dog can work to about 10, 11 years.
One more question. I heard from Mr. Jim Morgan, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Margaret Tennis. He trains, specializes in this training of narcotics, bomb spot dogs. And he was telling me that, the dog is a tool. On a weekly basis, you gotta keep him through rotation. Keep his weapon sharp. Is this true?
Training is absolutely paramount. One of the things that we afforded to Chief Maldonado is that we have numerous resources within the El Paso area. So yes, training, it's like anything else. It's a perishable skill. So you have to maintain it. So as Mr. Maldonado is going to build this canine program for the Socorro Police Department, we in turn will share our lessons learned and build and establish a training regimen to maintain that proficiency. And also, remember, when you graduate that course, on a scale of 1 to 10, you graduate about a 4, just like anything else. Now you got to get that dog in the environment, working that dog team, work together to get them to a 10. That requires that advanced training. That requires that continuing and reoccurring training. So yes,
And you're gonna be offering this support?
yes, absolutely. We have, because you're only going to have one dog available, you do need more than one person to do that. Here on staff, we got 20 plus CDIs, course development instructors that can assist with that. We have the U.S. Border Patrol Canine Section, the Office of Field Operations Canine Section, and as well as your partner, your other law enforcement agencies like El Paso PD, who also go through our training to become certified.
Okay, so this is great. You're gonna put them through the foundation, which is the 780 course, and you're gonna work with our officer and our dog to become a 2 and a 1.
To become one.
Yeah, 1.
Yes.
Chief, is it gonna be a take-home dog? Is he, if he's gonna be a take-home dog, we're gonna have to go to the cost of kennel set up at Alpha Parallel.
Where are we keeping him? Yes.
Right.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, I will tell you, Director Montes and his group has been phenomenal. They're going to provide us with a kennel, place to the other items, we are going to have to equip a vehicle with a special insert. We've already identified the vehicle. I've already contacted Border Patrol, Border Protection as well. They're looking for any sort of used insert that maybe we can purchase for them or they could loan to us. But we have an F-250. The ones that they do have is for an F-150. But we have 5 weeks, so they put me on the list. In the meantime, I will contact other agencies to see if there is a used insert that we can purchase. We have time, but we have identified the vehicle. There are going to be some costs. That's why we're presenting this to you. But again, when you do the cost-benefit analysis, the benefits down the road is an enhanced interdiction program that is going to bring us additional resources. So this is basically a small investment up front, but the dividends down the road is going to be exponential. We just need to get started.
So Chief, going on from Mr. Cox's question, that was my original question as well. So veterinary issues, I mean, doctors, things like that, we would expense that, which is fine. But my question is, if Harrison's going to be the one that's handling it and taking it home, so I'm assuming that when Harrison's off, we don't have the unit, it'll be off as well. I mean, it won't be within our handler because we won't identify the one. So if something happens to Harrison, vacation, things like that, have we talked about those issues that might come up? Since right now we're talking about putting him in a kennel, I mean, I don't know how big the kennel is, or if Harrison, I don't know where he lives, how big is his backyard, things like that might happen.
Quick question. Yeah, well, I'm sure the issue isn't the facility, because I'm sure they have suitable facilities for the dog. But I did read that, the dog is just as important as the handler. And sometimes, one or the other can affect the outcome of treatment.
We
Is this
have-
true, Mr. Gomez?
More specific, please.
If the handler doesn't take well to the training, let's say he's not really good, efficient at directing the animal, this affect his training.
So end state is they're gonna have to go through an academy, to go through our academy. Through our academy, there's different levels in there that they have to pass. There's an academic, there's a law, Fourth Amendment training, probable cause, all that stuff is part of the course. That's part of your legal certification for that team. That's part of that certification so that team can now operate in the law enforcement capacity in the surrounding community. So yes, there are course requirements that handler would have to work with that dog to complete before he's finally certified. So now, 9 times out of 10, once he completes that certification and graduates that school, you're not going to have any issues down the road.
I think the question is pertaining to the fact that, let's say the dog is okay, but the handler then decides, it's not in me to be a handler, dog, being a handler.
You guys are moving off.
Can that dog be trained, within time? Sir, either one of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So look at the scenario we're in right now. The dog was purchased by the Paso Sheriff's Department, right? It was certified working with a previous handler. The department now downsized and now gave that resource to your police department, Chief Maldonado. We are in turn going to now recertify that dog with a new handler. So in this situation, if something were to happen, medical, whatever the case may be, that they can no longer work effectively as a team, then yes, we would just come back, you would identify another candidate that would work that dog. Now we would, you internally would transition all resources to the next handler, and then we send them to school, recertify that team, and you start from Jump Street all over.
And I will tell you, that's not unusual. I've dealt with this with my other agencies. It happens all the time. However, we have identified an alternate candidate, so we already have that next layer available to us. In terms of canneling the animal, the beautiful thing about all this, we're right next door to a tremendous wealth of resources available to. We're not alone in this, and that's the wonderful thing. Director Montes and his group have just been phenomenal in helping us out. El Paso PD, we've already networked with them. Officer Hellerson has officers, canine officers from El Paso PD that live in the vicinity. They've already discussed if they're on vacation, they're going to help each other out. That's how this business works. So we have as many bases covered as we can anticipate. And those that we don't know about, we have subject matter experts on the touch of a button that are available to us. So we're covering as many issues as we can.
Thank you.
Of course, we're going to have policy in place on how the dog should be handled.
We're getting all of that.
We're not going to have an incident like happened in East Texas where a dog burned up in the car because the air conditioner went off in the car. We're not going to have that kind of stuff. We're going to have a dog placed inside. I mean, I worry about the
Yes,
dog.
well, absolutely. We're going to take care of the animal. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so do we have a motion in a second?
No motion to approve.
No, we already have it.
Oh.
We have a
We
motion
have
second.
Mr. Pettis,
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Aye.
Mr. Almeda,
Aye.
Mr. Khan,
Yes, ma'am.
and Ms. Rodriguez. Yes. Motion.
Chief has something.
Mayor, I had to do this, and please indulge me if you wouldn't mind. Sir, would you honor us in presenting this plaque to Mr. Montes and his group for their tremendous efforts? Mr. Barkley?
No, and it does say, presented to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Canine Program on behalf of the Support Police Department in appreciation and as a symbol of our profound gratitude in assisting our department establish the very first canine program. The professionalism and dedication demonstrated by the CBP Canine Program is invaluable to the law enforcement community and the citizens of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we get a,
It's Calder's up there.
Pretty good, said that.
Then I will get it.
All right, moving on to the next item, item number 15. Discussion action to allocate capital funds for a new paver and to award the number 15-001 asphalt paver to Wagner Equipment Company in the amount of $159,795,000. Do you have a motion? Approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez to approve, seconded by Mr. Pettis. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
I think since we're starting overlays again, I think it is very crucial we have the right equipment, that it's going to withstand all the pressure and all of the heavy workload we're going to put upon it. I understand that our equipment broke down 4 times in 2 months, and that delayed some of the overlays that we had planned last year. And if we purchase this equipment, we won't have this issue, and we would be probably on our schedule, correct?
that's correct, Councilman.
Mr. Cox?
Not to belabor the point, but we've come under a lot of criticism from the public that we're not doing anything about the streets and we're not doing anything. This is just another example of that we are, and we're trying to accommodate the status quo. We're trying to get these streets taken care of. So this is a must. I mean, even if we didn't need it, because then we'll get broke down, if we needed it to help meet the work that we have, then it's a good cause. So I'm in favor.
Mr. Pettis?
I just have a question on the older equipment. Is there a rotation cycle of some sort where there's a maintenance cycle? Because I seem to be provided pictures of things like missing minor parts on the equipment. And so are those things being looked at, replaced?
The minor parts are optional equipment, they were optional automatic controls, where we have manual controls, and so we made the
So
decision.
it doesn't affect the overall function of the vehicle?
And to answer your initial question, we do have a preventive maintenance program, scheduled maintenance for it. We can actually increase that to try to keep this going.
And just Mr. Rumsley, what would the money be coming from, just overall around this?
Out of capital, rearranging the capital, and if there isn't adequate funding, obviously it would have to come out of the reserve at the end of the period.
Would it be from the CLC?
Yes, it would.
All right, so we do have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Pettis to approve. Any further discussion?
Mr. Pettis?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Gondeta?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Lewis? Motion passes.
Moving on to item number 16, discussion action to approve payment to D&H Petroleum and Environmental Services for repairs to the city's fuel dispensing system. Do we have a motion?
I have a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
For discussion, yes. I'll second.
We have a motion to approve made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Cox. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
Of course I do. I was looking at the backup. The fuel line, we were having issues in November. We fixed it in December, and then again in January. And yet, that 30 days past the invoice. Why are we taking forever, more than 30 days to pay an invoice? And the other issue is, why is this bringing it up to council, since this was prior than when we amended the purchasing policy? Because it's only 500 and some change. And it was before the fact we amended the purchasing policy. So my question is, why is it taking so long, more than 30 days to pay an invoice? That's the first question. The other question is, why are you bringing it up if this was before the purchasing policy? Because if it was done on January 2nd, that means that, or I'll take an example. When I invoice my customers, as soon as I turn in that truck, that vehicle, I send it out, or I take it personally. If you do the mail, it will take 5 days. That means from one Friday to the next, that'll be January 9th that we receive that invoice. Now, I'm not nitpicking anything, but I'm just saying that this is very redundant. You're bringing stuff to us that, that it's constantly, a very minimal amount. And I think it's not worth our time to be looking at $100 here, $500 there, $600 here, where that could have been an administrative. My question is, can you look at why we're taking more than 30 days to pay for invoices that, when they already came and did a service to the city, I'm one of those vendors that if I do work, I want to get paid properly. I don't want for vendors to say, we're not going to come and do work for you anymore because you're taking forever to pay me. That's the one issue that I have. So why is it taking so long? And the other issue is this was done prior to us amending the budget, so why is it being presented to us? The purchasing policy. So why is it being presented to us if this was done prior to?
If I'm not mistaken, the purchase policy still stated before that they still bring it to council, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so the purchase policy, whether it was meant for.
It was the amounts, though. It was the amounts.
I think it was, if it's over $500, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what we changed it to.
And
I would say because he hasn't gotten paid yet, so since the purchase policy is not taken into effect in order for us to pay him, they still have to bring it to.
Yeah, but the invoice was already done before.
And follow up on what he's asking, I'm having a problem with these items like this, major purchases like this, being introduced by the department heads. I believe that's Mr. Norby's role, to come up here and give a presentation and have his department heads as backup for what he's trying to present. I think it's his role, it falls in his, so that these questions that you're asking, he can be standing up here and we can be asking questions of him. So I have an issue with the fact that department heads are presenting things that the city manager should be doing.
And to answer your question, I don't know if you guys read it, I was letting Mr. Pettis know that too, that when we amended the purchasing policy, our CFO changed it to every department head is going to be responsible for it instead of her department.
But we approved it though.
That's what I'm saying. So that's to answer his question. That's why.
Okay, but, and maybe it's along, I don't know, it leaves the door open, it leaves it open, yes, they're responsible as the department heads, but they still have to answer, as the city charter says, to the city manager.
We would have to.
And the city charter says it's the city manager's role to do this. So any rule that our finance officer says does not supersede what the city charter says.
So we have to change it.
No.
Mr. Lazo, did you discuss before, you put this item on the agenda, correct?
I did.
Did you discuss this item with Mr. Northwood before you put it on the agenda?
No, I did not.
Okay. Answer the question, guys.
Well, I'm saying,
If you'd have gone to Mr. Norfleet, maybe Mr. Rodriguez wouldn't be upset. Maybe Mr. Cox wouldn't be questioning.
So I think more than anything else, touching on the subject of Mr. Norfleet and him being there or not, I mean, I think it's fine for our department heads to come, and put these on the agenda, because otherwise, the whole agenda would be city manager, city manager, city manager, city manager. I mean, you would have to answer for the chief, you would have to answer for Sam's changes and stuff like that. I mean, I don't have an issue with them being here because Mr. Norfleet is still present. He still answers the questions that are asked of him. I mean, the only one that you all can hold accountable ultimately is Mr. Norfleet. You know, but I don't have an issue with us having Mr. Doug come here and present it, or Chief coming up and presenting us the changes to the K-9 unit. You know, I understand the questions that you all have, and like I said, we approved the purchasing policy. I mean, maybe it's just about us paying a little more attention to what we're approving and looking at what they say and do, and ultimately just making sure that the changes that we are approving are in line with what this council wants to do. Because if we approve something and later on we say, well, we don't like it, well, who approved it? You know, we did. I mean, we have to make sure that we're reading everything.
As far as, and reflecting on what Mr. Rodriguez was saying, if a staff, if a budget head, or excuse me, a department head it has some control over their respective budget, that's okay. Because ultimately, the budget is issued or generated from the city manager's office and then up through the CFO as well. And so, there is a check and balance system. There has to be, where there is meetings on budget. I would hope that there means that those are taking place. And so there is some two-way communication and accountability from the CFO to the department heads, and the department heads communicating to the CFO what the needs are in order to be able to develop an effective budget. So that to me is really a non-issue. Where I do have a problem is the turnaround on payment, because you're looking at a business being paid more than 90 days, or just about 90 days that they haven't received payment. So again, that to me is just not good business practice.
So, Mr. Norfleet, if you can answer the question, or Doug, either one of you, where is the logjam? I mean, that seems to be the question that Mr. Rodriguez and Mr. Pettis are asking, that the services are provided to the city, and there seems to be a log jam where we're supposed to pay the vendor, but we don't. And like Mr. Rodriguez said, November, December, January, and we still haven't paid this company. So where is the logjam? Where is it happening that this isn't getting done? Is it the department heads? Is it the CFO? Is it you? I mean, where is the problem so council can know?
It could be at any particular interval. If something doesn't start off with a purchase order, that's creating a delay automatically, because you cannot pay something without ultimately getting the purchase order for it. So, in this particular case, it's probably that to start it off. However, in a normal situation, you're making a request, a requisition, you're getting your requisition converted to a purchase order. Once you have your purchase order, then that gives you authorization to purchase. Once you purchase, the material comes in, then you're submitting the purchase order with the invoice back, saying, yes, I've got the material, yes, it's okay to pay. And from that point, a payment should be made, probably within a week or several days. So within that framework, breakdowns can occur at each part. Typically, if you don't have a purchase order to begin with, you're automatically dealing with a delay, because it's going to be said, you do not have a purchase order. Now you're going to have to reestablish it before you get something paid. So it could be at any particular point. I think in this case, it's probably not having a requisition or the purchase order to start with, and then being over a particular dollar amount that causes the problem.
Mr. Yada had a question.
Okay. We've established that Mr. Lobdell brought this to Mr. Norfleet's attention. We probably have a solution. Here goes the other question. If there was a purchase order involved, would it still have to be presented to council?
Because of the policy, it states if it's over $500, it does. There again, this is something the council is saying, this is how we want to do business. In terms of policy, Whether it should go another way is upon the council to say otherwise. You need a recommendation to say more or less, or don't come to the council at all and leave it to the administration to resolve issues of processes not being carried out properly, then that would be another matter. Yes.
Well, then, just, before Mr. Rodriguez and council, just, because you just touched a point there, and this normally, the recommendation came from the administrative side, which is yourself and Ms. Hagelson. I'm assuming that the person's policy that was presented to council had your approval, I hope, that it was okay for you to say, yes, I'm gonna go ahead and submit it with the 500. I mean, we didn't set the limit. We were presented to it by the administration side. I think, I mean, I don't mind the limit, but I just want to make sure that if council says we don't want to approve it or not, the recommendation came from the administrator to say it's 500, right?
Yes, and there again, if I'm correct, this is a new procedure that started probably a little bit more than 18 months ago, because it was a notion that the council needs to see who's not doing something, so bring it before the council as some notion of somebody's not doing right, council's looking at it. Now, that isn't something that I'm saying do. I don't think it's necessary. I think that's something administration should be doing, but that's what happened, and that's why the policy.
So you as a city manager would say you don't need to go to council for approval?
No.
I mean, for any amount, just go ahead and get it done. We don't have to go to
No, because if it's a violation of the procedures, that's something the manager should be taking care of, not having people to come before you saying, oh, I didn't do this, or I didn't do this for one particular reason or another, just to make the council aware.
Well, then.
I'm not fighting.
Just my question on this, and if that is your stance on it, why wasn't council praised of this when the person's call was brought on? I mean, you have the right to say, hey, you know what, guys, like we had the, when you didn't agree with something that was going on, and we asked if you agree with it. I mean, if an item is being presented that says the purchase policy of the city, I mean, you are the head of the city, you are the manager, and if you feel that we shouldn't be doing that, I think I would like to have known that before we approved the policy. But go ahead.
Mayor, can I hear it?
Yes.
I hate to just.
If we're gonna discuss this item and this purchase, I think we're square. The historical story of how we got here and the entire policy issue, I think we need a different posting to have a meaningful discussion.
All right.
So, Jim, just to clarify, then I cannot ask or make a comment on what Mr. Pettis said, right? Which was, he says that, he said about our CFO letting everybody know and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because what I was gonna say is, I've been there going, signing checks, while all of our department heads have been in meetings on Tuesday, because I've been writing checks, so was Mr. Cox, so, and I believe Mayor and Ms. Rodriguez as well, and our CFO has been in her office, well, everybody is in meetings. I'm just saying, just to reiterate that how can somebody present all of this when they're not in meetings? And it's been a couple of times, so I can't say that.
My advice would be we're probably not posted to.
So if you guys want, we can bring back the person's policy.
Yes, that's what I was just.
So we already have a motion to go ahead and approve this in a second.
Yes.
Good.
Mr. Pettis?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Garza?
Aye.
Mr. Long? And Ms. Rodriguez? Yes. Motion passed.
Similar item. Discussion action to approve a Valentine's Day luncheon for the Rio Vista Community Center Senior Citizen Program. Victor, why are we discussing this? It's not a major.
It's not, it is the purchase of food, and just for the sake of transparency and clarity, you guys can go ahead and vote on it, because it's very vague in the.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Before you, since you brought it up, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Did you approach Mr. Murphy about doing this?
I approached Ms. Rodatha, because she was the interim city manager before I placed on the agenda. However, I did CC Mr. Murphy when I did submit it for approval.
And you got to both of them. So either one doesn't have to, she was the acting city manager or.
It's best that we do give you to council whenever there is a great item in the purchasing policy. That way we don't act without going to you all for approval or doing it after the fact. And since before it was very vague on whether we could purchase food or not, I just wanted to make it clear that way this is what we were going to do and it was city funds. That is why this item is being presented.
So, you know,
But less than 500.
Motion approved. Second. Motion approved.
Second.
Okay,
a
so
decision.
what are we unsure about this?
It's
I mean,
very
we
green
approved something.
specifically, since this is the first outing, that is what the gray area came into concern.
Okay, so we're approving the purchase of food. That's why you brought it to council. Okay, but that's it. There's no other clarity that we need.
Just,
And I'm not getting it, perfectly understand, I'm not going to understand. This is something under $500 that the city manager could say yea or nay, and it doesn't need to be on the agenda.
if,
Bottom line.
current purchasing policy states that if it is under $500, we can go ahead and purchase it unencumbered and there's no issue as long as we haven't reached the $3,000 threshold, which would require the PO. That is what the current, purchasing manual states. So it's not the issue of the amount, it's just the issue of the item being.
Mrs. Rodriguez.
Okay, Mr. Martinez, so is that illegal for me to do that? To purchase the food with the city's money?
Yes.
Statement.
So then every time that we purchase food, we would have to bring it to council for example, your kids' cat is coming up, right? So you would have to bring it to council for.
Every time the fire department does an event or any kind of activity with the community, I go ahead and meet with Mr. Narfleet, just, let him know what we're gonna do, what our plans are, get feedback from him, what's been done in the past before I've been here. And I do speak to the CFO just in case there's any questions, anything needs clarity. I try to take care of all of that stuff before the actual event, so we don't scramble to do it after the fact.
Which is fine, but I mean, this is not, Mr. Cross is not directed at you, but I think we're going, and I understand that at some point, council has to bear the majority of the issue that we have now. That, we say we want something done, but we turn around and do another thing, and similar to this, I mean, if you guys are the department heads, you're wasting your time coming here, because it'll get approved, you don't need to come here. We shouldn't be hearing this is something that's not a citywide event, we're not gonna promote it, it's not gonna be anything major. And I mean, I really think that we can stick to the admin side of it, approving it, but again, we have to bear the brunt of why this is happening. I think we all know that council for the most part can be held responsible for a lot of this happening. Again, we approved the purchase policy, it was there, so I mean, we really have, thank you, Victor. So we do have a motion to approve.
Okay, Mr. Pettis? Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Davila?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Martinez. Motion passes.
Item number 19, discussion action on proposed right-of-way acquisition intended to be designated for public roads along Parker Road, Rio Vista Road, Sparks Road, Clifford Road, Sherrill Circle, and Spur Place. Planning and zoning department recommends approval. Do we have a motion on this?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Cox to approve. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Cox?
I had a discussion, but I want to hear the presentation by Mr. Young. Mr. Brooks, like to come? No, you need to have.
That might be my fault, Mr. Cox. He asked me if I needed him here, and I told him no.
Oh.
Didn't realize you wanted him here for this.
No, when he called saying about this, I'm telling him, I'm looking for Mr. Leon.
See, Jim is very literal. He asked him if Jim needed him, the answer is no. They only need him, the answer is yes.
Everyone else needed him.
Mayor Council, the reason why I placed this on the agenda is because a previous council item was placed to direct the attorney to start a process to acquire right away in order to identify the properties that we need to obtain for public right. When we did the physical inspection and based on documentation that we have in file, it was noticed that we need to expand the scope of the work because in reality we need to include additional streets to complete the required right. Initially, I think that it was presented just for Sparks Road, Parker, and Sherrill Circle.
And Rio Vista.
I included Lippert Road and Spur Place. This is the green sections are the actual right-of-way of the city of Socorro. And they are segments of the different streets and big sections that we need to acquire in order for us to have the proper the physical improvements to the area.
Mr. Yoni, these are the, on Parker, these are the holdouts in red, right, sir, on Parker Road?
The one from the
On
bottom.
Parker?
Yes.
Those are the holdouts, right, sir?
That is
Because
correct.
you already have some commitments from 2022.
Absolutely.
It's like half and half.
Yeah. And I might just want to point out, Mr. Attorney, if you don't mind, is Spur all been deed to us now? Spur Road that's in green up here, is that all been deed to the city support now? I see it in green.
No, this section needs to be revised because according to the information that I have, this has to be in red, not in green.
So it's,
No,
it's
it's
still private property.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Anybody else?
No, no.
Any questions?
Okay, I just want to point out to council, please, Mr. Pettis, if you notice up here, when we first started, when I first brought this before council, as you notice, Rio Vista Road, it ends over here right next to where we're in session right now, and it goes on around. We originally thought that Rio Vista and Sparks, and that curve there, and that 90-degree right there, was ours, but it turns out that it's private property, and then as Mr. Leone dug a little further, he found out that Sparks is private property all the way down to the canal, if you trip on down, and that's never been taken care of. We're talking about a larger section of these streets now that are Nassau Coral's property. Yet, we've been maintaining these streets, such as Sparks from here to the end of Spur, I believe. Am I right, Mr. Newman? Where the residences?
No, we haven't obtained those.
No, we haven't obtained them, but I'm just saying we have been maintaining.
Good answer, Sam, good answer.
Okay, so what he said, we haven't.
We haven't.
No, we haven't.
Sam, so my question, now that clock's coming
Who's maintaining them? Who put the asphalt down there?
Not the city's court.
Not the city of Socorro property
Really?
was done before the city was reactivated.
Oh, that's old stuff out there?
Probably. It's called.
Mr. Leone,
Quality of work.
is it also all of Rio Vista up to here is private property as well? I mean, it's red.
Yes, according to the.
So this corridor up here is not city of Laos, and we haven't maintained that either, right? We haven't built any potholes or anything like that, right, Doug?
Yes.
No.
Don't go there. Hey, don't go there. This is why it's important that we get this taken care of, guys, and we get this done.
Okay, I have a request, Mr. Norfolk. I mean, is it possible to assess streets and, I mean, give us a map of what streets are private and which ones are not? Because, I mean, if we're saying that all of a sudden we're figuring out that Sparks is private, or that section of Rio Vista is not, I mean, shouldn't we know this already?
It's been, it's not so much their fault. It's
No, I
been
know,
filed
that's what I'm
away
saying,
for
like, I
years.
mean, shouldn't,
This has been filed away for years, and nobody ever
like,
pursued
shouldn't we have something on file that says, yes, this is private, no, this isn't, I mean, like, I guess like a catalog, a database that says this street is. Doug, when you all did the streets, you mentioned how many that were private, how many were public, I mean, where did you get that information from?
It was many sources. It's listed on Google, but not on the city maps. It's listed on the city maps, but not on Google. It was conversations with his department.
So you went to Google Maps?
We use them all the time.
Go ahead.
All you have to do is ask Mr. Leone, he's been here for a long time. Sure, he knows which
And
ones are
I'll be presenting a map, as you mentioned, Mayor, with streets that we're using, but we don't own the right.
Well, more than anything else, because we do have the big paving project coming up, and again, we don't want to be paving stuff that isn't the city's.
And that's what I said when the first project was there. I said, make sure before you pave any streets that they're ours. So we won't have any issues. And I said it, and we can go back and video when I said that in council. And that way we will eliminate all of the issues we might have in the future.
Yes, sir. So we have a motion in a second.
What's, Mr. Young, what is?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
Recommendation to be approved.
What?
To start with, investigation of Parker, Rio Vista Road, Sparks, Liquor Road, Sherrill Circle, and Spur Place.
All right. That motion in a second.
Council, can I
Yes.
suggest, the way I understood the instructions, the reason we brought it back, you might not have worded it precisely correct, the reason we brought it back is to map out for council. One, we needed some additional streets. I think the field investigation showed we didn't have all the streets that you wanted. We've got all the streets now, we've tried to map out a more detailed procedure, step by step. We're gonna talk to them, we're gonna get preliminary agreements, we're gonna get meets and bounds, we're gonna plat it. But my point is, none of that says we're gonna actually purchase it unless and until we bring it back to you and you approve. So the motion shouldn't include that, that's not our proposal, is not to actually, you're not instructing us to go ahead and acquire it, you're instructing us to do all the preliminary work, bring final agreements back to the council for approval.
Yeah, and according
It's just a process, okay? Obviously, I'm gonna bring before you, even though the cost estimate for the survey company, and also if it's the case, that the inclusion of a negotiations to buy the properties, if any.
But you're still gonna try to get these people.
Absolutely, we have.
Because it behooves them in the first place, there's nothing they can do with that property. So we're gonna try to see if we can, give us a deed, right? Forfeit their deeds to us, what do you call it, word for it?
Dedication?
Dedicate the deeds to us, okay? Because some of them have, right? There are some on Spark Circle, I know that Mr. Resendez has.
I have agreements on dedication. Yes, signed by some of the property owners. Yes.
Thank you, Sam. Right, we're good. Motion is second.
Mr. Bettis? Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Garza?
Aye.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
And Mr. Yes. Motion passes.
Item number 20, discussion San Bernardino.
Yes, sir.
Discussion action on proposed temporary construction easement for the Union Pacific Railroad Company to grant the right of ingress and egress to and from the construction area during the construction period for grading and staging equipment and materials.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Third, fourth.
Can you get it up? We have a motion and a second, a third, and a fourth. Motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Cox. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
Nope.
Anybody else? Jim?
I would ask council for direction and authority to negotiate the final terms of the easement with the railroad. The easement they proposed is a little too much in their favor. It's just an easement, but still, it needs tweaking.
I'll amend my motion.
Let us negotiate it and execute the final agreement.
Correct. I'll amend my motion to follow the recommendation from our city attorney.
Yes.
I'll second.
This isn't gonna be in Verizon, right?
No,
Stop it. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Bettis?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Garza?
Aye.
Mr. Pop?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Yes. Yes. Motion
Item 21, discussion action on vacating the Avila Morales subdivision plan as defined in Texas Local Government Code 2.2.013 and 212.15, and turning back the property to its original tracks 7A, 7B, 7C, Block 27, Socorro Grant, and recording it in the El Paso County. The Planning and Zoning Department recommends approval. Do you have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. Any discussion? Mrs. Rodriguez.
Motion was Mr. Pettis.
Mrs. Rodriguez?
Yes, it says right here, the property owners are demanding the return of the property and a compensation from the city of Socorro. How much can the compensation be?
It was
You
not,
don't know yet, right?
it was not mentioned. Just to give you a brief explanation about the case, in previous administration, the city council directed the personnel to conduct a survey in order to unify two properties into one with a future intention of building a swimming pool. Unfortunately, city council decided not to pursue the purchase of the property, but the deed and the survey and the plat was finished and recorded with the company. Now the property owners are, demanding to return the properties into their original state, which is turning back to the
Agricultural.
no, the planning process. Instead of creating the Avila Morales subdivision, get it back to the Socorro Grant tracts.
Did we ever purchase this property?
No.
Did
It was not
we required to
by the
purchase
city.
one?
No.
This one isn't different.
I beg your pardon?
When whoever proposed this, we're required to purchase this property at some point?
It was directed by council and the previous city manager. That is correct.
To purchase a partial truck.
What year, sir?
It was,
Oh, so it wasn't us.
2000. No, it was before registration.
So this is reminding, this is not, it doesn't have to deal with, inheritance, right? No,
No.
it was another one, okay.
No, this
I just,
is located on Socorro Road.
Socorro Road en Guayo. ¿Dónde me?
This
It's
is
in Calvete.
around-
See, Ernest Road,
And
Ernest Road is cut. You see that white line that follows that other white line? That's Ernest Road. It's broken down. I wish I had the pointer. But there are a bunch of streets that are cut in half.
Socorro Road. And this is the part, of course,
and we were supposed to purchase this to do?
a swimming pool.
Oh, I remember this issue. I remember this issue. Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
No, so you can continue.
No offense to you guys, I just don't like how Mr. Leon presented it as to demand. I think it should be more on the lines of request to give us back our plot the way originally it was intended to.
If I may.
I'm not,
Mayor, City Councilman, this is George Morales, I'm representing my mayor. There's two properties here in question. The problem was that when you wanted to acquire it to do your projects, there was problems with my mom's or grandfather's will. So with Jerry Wallace's firm and everything, we turned all our paperwork that we had, whether there was contestants or not, you guys fixed it. But in doing so, you entailed it all together. And at the end, you fixed it legally. But once that was done, it was turned to the Avila Morales subdivision. Subsequently after that, my uncle has been receiving all the taxes for the water and the property as if he's the sole owner. And this has been going on for 2.5 years already. It's been busy because my mom's going through dementia and stuff. My uncle has health issues. All I want is for this property to go back so that both individuals are separated and each one gets their own tax bill and what have you. The demand was that 1 year, he was, through I don't know who, told not to farm that land. So he lost whatever could have yielded from that property that particular year. Other than that, that's all we're looking for. We've been waiting 2 years. I just want this land back the way it used to be. So since you guys already fixed it, are you gonna put it back the way it was? Or now that it's legally fixed in the court, and, you know, just separate it? That's all I ask for. Since you're not gonna buy it no more, then put it back the way it was, introduce it to the proper taxing entities so that it could be separated. And I don't know what compensation he wants. My mom leases the land to him, and that's his argument as well, just to whatever losses he had for that year that they told him, don't plant, because we're gonna start building. And it wasn't you guys, it was another council, another city attorney, and that's all I ask for.
Mr. Rodriguez.
well, I want to say that I am understanding that you want the original plan. I guess we're gonna put it up to a vote, and you'll see the outcome to it. But if you have other issues other than changing the plan, I suggest that you talk to our city manager for the other issues. But we're gonna handle the property right now, so if you want, you can just give us a little moment, and then when we take.
Well, I will hope just to
I
fix
guess.
that, and then maybe at a later date, you could come and put on the agenda for whatever he wants recompensated. All I want is for this fixed right now.
And like I said, you know, we're gonna talk about the issue about your property right now. The other issues, you know, you might take it up with our city manager.
At a later date.
But we're gonna take the issue up right now about the property.
Mr. Andrade.
How much were you quoted by the former council for the purchase of this property?
Yes, the dates, the whatever.
called Manny Soto.
Oh, yeah.
According to him, he was the municipal councilor. And in November 12, 11, he offered me $31,500 an acre. But I was working on my land, and during that time, when he got to my house, my land there, he stopped me there for working. Said, stop working there. We are purchasing the land. And I told him, say, I don't have a sign here for sale or nothing. I'm not asking you if you're gonna sell or not. We're gonna take it. Or otherwise, we demand it. And after that, I told him, look, if you're gonna demand, go ahead, buy it from us. And he stopped me working for a year.
At the time, we were in agreements. We were willing to allow the family part, and on him no, and we had arguments and discussions because they were bringing an eminent domain into it. So, you know.
There were issues.
There was a little bit of heavy-handedness, but I spoke to Mr. Wallace at the time, Jerry Wallace, your attorney. He came to my house, he was very cordial. I finally convinced him, like, either way. But, I mean, all this BS for at the end, nothing. And it's been 2 years. I've spoken to Mr. Norfleet, like a year ago on the phone, hoping not to bring it into legal matters, because it could take a long time. My mom's 85 years old now. You know, I don't want to wait that long, and I want her to rest assured that everything's back the way it was.
Mr. Fox, Mr. Pettis.
I remember this incident. We discussed this among the group that was having issues with the one was being spent. I didn't know that it was going to be, they were offered $31,000 per acre. But I do know that this is the second or third time now that the name Manny Soto has come up and bringing up the fact that he's going to do eminent domain if they don't comply or work with us. First time that I heard about it was over the issue of the Young Field. Okay, so that's another matter. But nonetheless, and knowing the man the way I did, I believe everything you're saying. I know the action from you. The idea of trying to buy this land may or may not be a good idea. I don't know. But I just want to make sure that I'm hearing what I'm correctly from you, sir. You guys want it the way it was before any of this, before you were approached about your land. And it was primarily, what was it? Agricultural?
It's agriculture, but the thing was, like I said, now you join it together, each party would have their own tax bill, and now he gets it all together. And we even went to the central appraisal, and I asked the guy, and he said, what do you think of this? And it's like, it looks like they're a married couple. So, God forbid something happens, he could claim it as his, and it's already set in stone in the city.
But nonetheless, both, whether it's his or the sister's or whatever, nonetheless, it's still both agricultural, right?
Yes, right.
And that's what you wanted to go back to.
Yes, so that there's two different taxing entities and not one.
Yes, even the taxes and the water rights are in one place. And it used to be Avila or the taxes and water rights. Morales, taxes and water rights. Now it's only one tax coming to me. Hold on. Now, of course, they pay me whatever amount it comes to. But now what we want is for the papers to be like it was before. And that's what we are asking you. And see if you can get me something out of that year that I lost.
What was your primary crops, sir? What did you have planted there? Alfalfa?
Cotton.
Cotton? You did have cotton?
Well, that's a whole different issue. I mean, that's such different. But I mean, Mr. Pettis is nice and Mrs.
And
Rodriguez.
just very quickly.
Let's just close it up because I mean, I think we're all in agreement that, yeah.
My only concern is this, understand about reconfiguring that area to its original state. The only thing is, does it have to be resurveyed? It has to be resurveyed, and who's gonna pay for the resurveying? The city?
This is a process to reverse a subdivision and get it back to its original. It's a vacating process, and I'm sure that we're gonna be able to get the original survey with the original boundaries without needing the.
So it'll be recognized again?
Yes, sir. And the item on the agenda is to approve the process, not to pay any compensation. That's decided.
That's a totally different issue. What Mr. Perez is saying is there gonna be additional cost to the city to undo what was done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we need to know exactly.
But the land was never purchased.
No.
There was never a contract on the land. It was negotiation, and I do remember it happening, and it did happen.
But there was
But what I'm getting at is, if there was nothing ever written or etched in stone, written contract, purchase, any kind of value, other than the fact that Mr. Soto went to them and told them quit planning there, which he didn't have the authority because he hadn't bought the property yet. We didn't own the property, so there's no way to own the property.
But the plat was recorded, thinking of the conclusion of the process of the negotiation, and finally never happened.
And the city did the
Just
plat?
because Mrs. Rodriguez is next.
The city did the plat?
Yes, sir. We did that. Yes, sir.
And excuse me for asking this, but I need to know, if you all saw that the city of Socorro was not going to purchase the property, why did it take you so long to come and do this? Because time went by. And you could have done this earlier. And it, you know,
Like I
were you
said, I
able to work? with the plan?
called Mr. Norfleet, I called Mr. Leone, like a year, like I said, my mom had health issues, so did him. And what I'm asking again is, the reason it took so long, the project would have been purchased, but there was problems with my mom's will and stuff. With Mr. Wallace, we turned everything in, and it was fixed. That's what I'm asking you. And Mr. Perez, I was hoping the city of Socorro does pay for this, but not to take it back to the original one, because the original was messed up. Since you guys already paid for it and fixed it, with the intention of purchasing it, just go back, it's fixed, but two different entities.
No, that's not my issue.
The thing is about recompensating him,
That's different.
let's discuss that some other day. I just want this fixed so that
That's
there's.
not what I was asking, but that's.
No, Jim, any issues with this so far, anything you see down the line? I mean, you're asking for us to do, and for the most part, what we can do and what we can't do, in terms of Mr. Fed is asking, I mean, would we foot the bill for anything? And then, there was no contract with her. I mean, it was basically, I'm about to buy this camera from you, and now I don't want it. So, I mean, the question, what can we do, what can't we do, and are we liable for any expenses at this point in time?
Yeah, that depends on exactly what happened. And I understand, I've heard what these gentlemen said today. They need to talk to Mr. Leone, they need to talk to Soto, will talk to him, they need to talk to all the council members. But my point is, it's very fact specific, so it depends. For other potential issues, yes. Are there potential limits on what you can do? Like, can you pay? There might be some limits on it. But for just the item that's here to vacate it and start the process to go back to the previous plat, that's okay.
All right, so we're good. We can talk about anything else later. So we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Galvin?
I'm gonna abstain, and I'm gonna see what we come up with. What was the motion?
To approve.
Mr. Cox.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mrs.
Yes.
Motion.
All right, moving on to item number 22. Discussion action on the preliminary plat approval for Caliente Flores subdivision unit 2. The planning and zoning commission recommends approval. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Perez. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
No.
Anybody else?
It's, this subdivision is gonna be feeding into Alameda?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And, yes, motion passed.
Item number 23, discussion action on the preliminary plat approval for Dairyland subdivision, replat J. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mrs. Rodriguez to approve. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
No.
Anybody else?
Where is this? I can't answer this.
Mr. Rowley, what's the location of this area?
Can you show the overhead, please, Mr. Jones, please?
Yes, sir.
It is up for discussion.
This is what's in our ETJ number.
This is our boundaries, the location of the proposed property.
And all plans.
This isn't in our city.
Were there any other issues from the planning and zoning commission other than the intention of Mount Bain subdivision? Were there any other issues?
No.
All right. We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Pettit?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Gagnon?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And.
Thank you.
Item number 24, discussion action on preliminary plat approval for Cielo del Rio subdivision unit 1. The planning and zoning commission recommends approval. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve or discussion.
Second.
You know, guys, we always discuss the items. There's no need to say full
It
discussion.
doesn't matter if it's,
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Rodriguez. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez? You'll be next.
Mr. Can you tell us a little bit about this, Mr. Lee?
Absolutely.
Is this the Escobar property?
No, sir.
No, it's not?
No, that's right next to me. That's behind, that's the county property.
This is city limits, the red, and yellow polygon is the proposed project. It's just preliminary plat approval, and the property is northwesterly located at 1.2 miles from the intersection of Horizon Boulevard and I-10. The property matter of this request is located outside of our northeastern city limits, but within our territorial jurisdiction. It doesn't have any flood issues, it's zone X, and it has been in revision by the county since 2013 with a preliminary approval from them. The only change that I'm requesting is check if I have
Sam, who does these studies if they're not flood prone? Because that area is gonna flood. I mean, the runoff was gonna hit it, I mean, is it runoff?
The arroyo.
On the right
It's
side.
based on flood insurance created by FEMA.
Yeah, but I mean, like, these areas are right in the runoff. I mean, I took Renee and Mr. Norfleet there, and that's right by Magic Landing, and over there, that whole area is jacked up. So, I mean, I get that they're not gonna flood. How about a runoff issue? That's gonna be a big issue there.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
That's because sometimes the official firm maps reflect what, according to the studies, but we need to rely and present the information based on official.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, because if where's Magic Landing there? That's the
Right
area.
there,
Right,
right there.
That area, like, if you go where the red line is, that's our limit. I mean, that area just caved in behind it. That whole area is gonna, no, it's not gonna go up. I wouldn't put a house there. That
Well,
would be a house.
actually, the only, and I don't have the area of the map, but I'm requesting to extend the Stockyard Road.
Yeah, that's all.
And you already saw the whole project.
Yeah.
And that's the only change. They already submitted all the information, geotech study, environmental studies, and preliminary recommendation by the county.
Okay, Mr. Leon, right now, we're in the process of trying to annex this place for Socorro. It's not in Socorro right now, it's in county.
That's correct.
And the county does not have the regulations for resident development wanna build there, and, well, the flood issue, that's up to you guys. The point I'm making is this, if they're gonna build, because I've seen more they're working with it, they're already leveling everything. Because the county already gave me the green light to go ahead. Okay, so what I wanna know is, if they're coming to us and they're asking us to let us build there, don't they have to comply with all our codes?
Absolutely.
Completely?
They are,
Or do they still just work under the county's code? Because they're not in our jurisdiction yet.
they need to comply with the
I
city.
know they're in their ETJ, but I just wanna make sure,
Yes, sir.
that they're gonna meet all the requirements of all the development subdivisions that are going in the city of Socorro, they're gonna have.
Yeah. And not only that, somebody, I think that's the agenda item, where they're asking for narrower street, right? They're not wanting the full street, they're requesting a smaller one? No?
Well, actually, I'm requesting the extension and, in, beginning of 2014, the county sent me a copy of the plat, and I made some suggestion, letting them know that it was outside of the city of Socorro. Okay, but after that, the city of El Paso gave the authorization to the city to proceed with this revision, okay, knowing that by the fact this portion of this area will be annexed by the city, well, in the near future.
But you understand what I'm asking?
No.
Requirements?
Yeah.
I understand the issue, and the issue was brought up a couple of months ago, and that's what was my whole thing about annexation. We need to annex it, all of these areas, because we're gonna be, if it's not our problem, it's still gonna be our problem, because we can't have it controlled. So all of that runoff is still gonna come into our city limits. So if we're gonna have that problem, then I'd rather have and annex that area, so that we can have a say on what goes there. And that's what I'm saying. But unfortunately, that's county property. We're in the process of that.
I understand, but.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
It's not that they have to fall in our ETJ, they have to comply with what we have.
Yes, they do, and they have already.
And let me ask you this, Mr. Bione, okay? Of other subdivisions, we require parks, we require incentives that they ask for, and into the money or the park or the land, whatever we need to have.
Yeah,
They have a plan for parks, or
Yes,
are
they
they
do.
giving us the funds?
Two bonding areas and one park.
The park.
Yeah,
The park?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I just want to make sure that I want to make sure they're gonna follow our standards.
No, I hear you, So we're good then. Thank you, sir. We have motion in a second. Just the others, remember, 5 items.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Aguirre?
Aye.
Mr. Candela?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, but hold on just a second. We're gonna follow, am I hearing that it's gonna be documented, that they will follow what we're asking, our standards? Yes.
And Ms. Solis?
It's not written down. It's not written down, I don't have to do it.
Motion passes.
25, discussion and action on the preliminary plat approval for Valley Ridge Unit 2 subdivision replat 8. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval. We have a motion to approve. We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez to approve. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Cox?
Mr. Cunningham?
Yes, sir.
Please put it up, please, before I ask my question, I want to make sure what I'm looking at. Before I ask the question.
It's right next to the Aquiladero, right?
Is it those 3 lots, 4 lots that we're not allowed to build houses there because it's right at the base of that holding pond? Is this that area?
Yes, originally, the property owner or the organization of the church, the owner, they are proposing to dedicate or donate to the city this portion of land. What is the purpose? Because the city of Socorro in 2006 needed to have access to discharge the water from the streets to this area. Thinking of that, this organization says, it would be a good idea for the city to acquire this section donated by them. But in my opinion, this requires maintenance. It requires put us a certain liability to the city of Socorro because of the spilling accepting this dedication to the city, I would suggest to acquire or to have this access easement, not to own the property, not to own this little section. Getting the liability or the responsibility of maintaining this. But in case of an emergency, it will be a good idea to have access easement to the city of Socorro, just in case we need it. Not owning the property.
Leave the picture of Commissioner.
Oh,
I have
understood.
some questions here. I have some questions. Am I next to you?
Okay, no, I understood that when we were approving. And you're telling me that now we're getting the whole, okay.
No, we're not getting the whole thing.
No,
Corner.
we're okay.
Just the east county, not the whole thing.
Well, why not the whole thing again?
It's a liability.
Oh, he said that.
Let me show you this.
What's the difference, Sam, in this? We don't have any property in that area, but if it falls apart, who's gonna get sued?
What's
Right?
the
I mean, we're talking about liability, we don't have any liability in some areas over here, and we're still getting sued because it's our fault. Allegedly and stuff, you know. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
We just take ownership of it.
We don't have any property, we don't have any property.
Okay, guys, if you don't mind, let me just interject, please. I was here in 2006, was it when this berm gave way? Mr. Young was here also. That berm gave way, that's the same berm that is between the Valley Ridge and now this new Escobar area that's they wanted to build in, and he's talking about water going into that berm up on Stockyard Road.
Move it up some here. There. That's what the Cox is talking about, the rest.
Okay. That, and everybody that goes by that has seen this hole here, this holding area. And this is a holding area that gave way where all that sand broke through and it went into Valley Ridge, it went into Thunder, and it went all the way down and covered up all the way down Valley Ridge and covered sand over here and stuff on this other one down here.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that property stayed vacant. We wouldn't allow them to build any more homes there because of the instability of that berm and that arroyo there. You're getting ready to allow a subdivision right to the left, and the water that's going to come out of there is going to go into this holding area. Guys, I cannot in the right frame of mind vote for this and take on and allow them to put houses or anything right there in that area and leave those people that buy those areas at the mercy of the waters and the rain. As you can see where the arroyo comes down, when the arroyo gave way, it went right straight into that holding area and it flooded over. We would be taking on one heck of a problem. And for the future generation, I'm going to recommend you guys that you say no on this. There's nothing else for the welfare of those people that would be victim to buying this thing right. And back in 2006 and 2007, I might add also, guys, water was sinking and seeped through there for a long time. That area stayed wet. How long, Sam? It stayed wet, what, 2 years? Would I be exaggerating about the 2 years?
More than 5.
That area right there.
Yes.
Gentlemen,
They want to build a church, right?
Yes, but let me tell you this, Mr. Cox, remember that back then, all this was flat, all this land. So, yeah, the arroyo hit us tremendously, but now we have done some provisions to it. And in reality, from that day, even though including 2013 storm rains, we didn't have any water.
Because of what accommodations we've done with the levee.
Yes.
But now remember, we're building another subdivision up here, Escobar Street's property, that's going to drain. They're sure they're going to have their own holding area, tanks and holding area, but there's still going to come water down that goes into the permanent arroyo. And if we have another 2006, if we have another 2006, this is what Mr. Escobar wants to see us to go to take that corner of the property and hold us responsible for it. I'm sorry.
No, the city of Socorro is not acquiring this section. This is the contaminated.
No, over here. I'm talking about over here by the berm. There's a little section right there by that, where Celos, what's the name of that street up there by your house? Where it goes to the stockyard, and there's a ponding area, ditch there. Mr. Escobar offered to give it to the city because he didn't want this one. It was in the plat that he also proposed.
So the main thing on this one is that we either approve the building of a church or we don't, right? Because that's what they're asking us is for them to go ahead and build a church there.
slots into one in order to create a design. But part of the recommendations that I'm putting this is they need to conduct a geotechnical study to determine the stability and percolation of the berm. They will need it anyway because they need to design the retaining walls according to that information. So, but this is the recommendation just for the planning purposes, okay? Not for the construction, but I'm putting this as a precaution.
And I think just to stress on Mr. Cox's point, give me a second, Mr. Rodriguez. I do see where he's coming from, that intel this had happened, but I do agree with Mr. Leone that now we have a way to prevent that from happening again because we have a berm up there. And so basically, any water that falls into that area would be just straight up rain, or if the berm on Stockbridge breaks open, and then it would flow into it. And it didn't happen in 2013, it shouldn't happen now, so that area, anything that happens is just plain rain. It wouldn't be the runoff that we get from the horizon.
May I remind you, Mary, that we almost had two breaches of the levee over there, the rim on that arroyo sticking around. We were there 2 weeks ago.
I have an issue, I really do. One, we've been letting churches pop up on residential areas. Did they already notify all the residents that they're gonna have all the traffic and stuff like that? Because one of the things is, that I face in my area, and across, maybe a block away, is that, it's church. Don't get me wrong, I'm a religious guy too. I'm a religious guy. I'm not knocking it, but you know what? But I will say this, it does cause traffic congestion in subdivisions where they're residential. We need to,
and loud music.
And the loud music as well. And mind you this, I wake up early Monday morning because that's the busiest day I have. So, I mean, they're loud. I mean, they're very loud and they do have their things going on. When they have their machines coming down the street, they close, we can't move. No, it's an issue. It's an issue. And regardless of everybody's beliefs, I do have an issue with that because it's gonna be right in the middle, So, I am going to. I'm gonna, and you know what, we have to be responsible about it, and I'm gonna rescind my motion and deny, the approval from,
Go ahead, Sam.
planning and zoning.
This is not a zoning case, but however, a church is allowed on residential
No,
zone.
I know that.
That's
What I
not
said
the
is that's an
That's
issue
case.
for me.
That's not the issue.
No, that's not the issue. The issue is that I'm presenting mine because I have an issue with that, plus it's right underneath that, and I don't wanna take or gamble on whether or not we're gonna have another 2006 issue. I know that we already accommodated some walls and stuff, but we already know that it deteriorated. It did. I'm not gonna sit here and say that because you and a couple of our council members were there on the hills where they got deteriorated when it rained, and we had to rush up and do it. What if we had another 2006 issue? That is where I draw the line and I say, you know what, we can't have it for that main reason. So I'm resenting my motion and denying.
We have a motion to deny, we have a second for that?
So what else did we use?
Second.
We have a motion made to go ahead and deny, second made by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Cox. Go ahead and answer questions, Mr. Tony.
Well, the only thing is this, do you think that an undeveloped berm will be more stable than a properly reinforced with retaining wall would be less secure than that?
Well, I will say this, water, and I know this because I did have science class, okay? Water is very, very different than anything. Water will break anything, given time, okay? So, I still stand with my motion to deny.
And I have to add to Mr. Rodriguez's comments too. Until we get that arroyo taken care of, and that's what we're working on, that's what Mr. Olaga's presentation was very, we're trying to get that arroyo taken care of so that it could be a possibility later on, allow this to happen. But right now, the way it stands, there's too many ifs, it's too dangerous, and we cannot take people's lives and play with it. I'm sorry.
Mr. Gavin, Mr. Betts.
Is there is there any regulation stopping these individuals from building the church?
The only thing is, if they can do it in a residential area without subdividing, without combining this, they have to do it just in one lot. But the intention of combining this is if they're gonna be doing a bigger building that requires to have 3 or 4 lots, they need to combine it because our setbacks are defined for lots, not for property.
How big is their lot? Where they're gonna build the church? Just a question.
No, we don't have yeah, right now, it's just the planning.
So there's nothing stopping them. We can build a parking lot over here and a church.
So he brings up a good point, Jim, because again, up there with the subdivision up there, we said we can't tell them no if they meet all the requirements. So if this group meets all the requirements, we can't tell them no, you can't build a church.
I was waiting for, I didn't want to have the discussion here. I have a question, just those 6 lots, there's 6 lots, residential lots right now? Yes?
Sir?
Are there any prohibitions on building right now? On those lots, residential houses?
Yes, but the only thing is this, if they want to have a building that encroaches on the adjacent lot,
Not talking about
the prohibition.
But
But
if
if
I'm
it's-
sure, is there any prohibition to building a single family home on each lot?
No.
Okay,
No
see,
prohibition.
that's my concern.
That's a point.
They could build now, I mean, church or not, you could have 6 houses going there tomorrow. But, and so,
And
let me suggest this, if they met the technical requirements, which it sounds like they have, you could face some of the same issues. Those are triggered when council votes no. And so, my humble request is, let me look at it before you vote no. If you vote no now, then they have the appeal.
And I think what Mr. Mills is getting at is that, no, they don't want to build homes, they want to, you have to combine the lots in order to build a church, that's the issue.
Yeah,
But the main thing is, like Jim says, we already went through this with the area of North. As much as I don't want them to build, they have every right to build according to our attorney. If they have a plot of land, they have a right to develop it as they see fit. We can be against that, we can say no, but at the end of the end, the state law says you can build it. Just like he says, there's nothing that can stop them from
Well,
building.
No.
I have to argue on that.
Hold on, and I'm not arguing with that too, because what I'm saying is this, they're individual lots, residential. What we're doing is that we're not going to approve them consolidating them into one property.
Right, that's
Right.
right.
So
I think there's a difference between a preliminary plat, when you're doing a new subdivision, and a replat, which is what this is. And I think that's the saving grace, but as I sit here today, I can't tell you I'm 100% on that.
No, but I read it.
He wants to take a look at it, Kevin.
No, and you know what, and I'm fine with that, but what I'm saying is, from what I read, we're okay, I'm just saying from what I read. I'm not an attorney here, that's why I'm saying that, because it's already done, they're trying to make it change, we can say no, right, that's it.
And I think that hits you, that's the fail safe.
Yes.
If it's and I didn't mean to get too far ahead of you, Mr. Mayor. When it's preliminary plat for a new subdivision, there are real plat obligations. If they meet the recipe, you gotta say yes. I'm 75–80% sure that doesn't apply when you have a replat. But if I'm wrong, the consequences are pretty serious.
Yes.
So before you say no, my request is you go back and look at
Yes,
it.
once again, I'll rescind my motion, let our city attorney, we'll table this so that our city attorney can.
Okay.
All of a sudden, we're going to go back to the table.
Postponement, and we'll let our city attorney look at all the details.
Hold on a minute. I want a second, but hold on just a second. Mr. Martinez.
Yes, sir.
In the study that I did, and the fact that I called TML and I spoke with the attorneys over there, they informed me that if we had already approved a final plat, then we could not rescind it. We would be in liable issue. A preliminary plat is not a problem, okay? And we have not approved a preliminary plat here. So I'm going to ask you, please, if you're going to do that, what Nancy wants you to do, I'm going to ask you, and I have the book to provide it for you if you want me to, not this one, but the red book, I forget what it's called, on zoning. To review what it says there also, because it backs up what the attorney from TML said. We have every right to stop something prior to a final plat. Once it's a final plat, then we have issues.
But see, I think she's working on the wrong facts. You do have a final plat. It exists now.
They want to make a church, they want it.
Hold on, but you need to go back. The final plat exists. It's there. It's been recorded. They want to replat that and do something else. So there is a final plat.
As far as homes, but that's not what you're asking for.
But that doesn't, but that avoids the issue. There's a preliminary plat, there's a final plat. You can come back and change the final plat. So today, as you sit here today, there is a final plat. They'd like to change that. And I think that's what gives you the right to say, look, your final plat is good. We're not obligated to say you have a right to change it.
I'm gonna second the motion.
But that's what, I'm 80% of the way there, not 100% of the way.
On this one, I have a simple question for you, Sam, because we approved this, not this specific item, but an item that would answer this question. Was an attorney there for the meeting? Because, I mean, we approved an item on the agenda a couple meetings back saying that attorney should be present in all meetings of planning and zoning. So this item seems like a bit of a stickler. So if council's having this much issue, I'm assuming that we had an attorney present who would have explained the issues at the meeting. Do we have present?
He was present.
What was his opinion?
Actually, no changes on the recommendation.
So he was okay with this. So we're gonna, Jim did, that's purple black, right?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him. I mean, to be fair, if there's no legal impediment to do it, if council wanted to do it, I think you're free to do that. I get the message, council probably doesn't want to do this, and my concern, and I'm not trying to insert myself in the policy issue, my only concern is if there's a legal downside to doing that, I just want to tell you about that before you do it.
Okay. But, I mean, again, shouldn't John have already advised this to the planning zone commission? I mean, that's what we
Yes.
were putting in there.
Yes, but it probably didn't come up because the planning and zoning commission wanted to do it.
That sure.
Okay, I'm just gonna say a statement, two statements, okay? One, I understand about the attorney and stuff, but you see, when it was brought up to P&Z, you know, it was brought up to say, hey, can we change the plan? Yes, they can. So that's the attorney's thing. The attorney is there to answer the questions that were asked. None of the, from what we understand, is they didn't ask or had the same issues that we're asking here about, hey, we don't want it because of this, and that, and the issue is we don't want a rezoning. You know, it's not about whether putting an attorney and say, hey, what do you think? Because your attorney said this, but you know, no, it's not that. The question is that they asked them, hey, can we change it? The attorney said yes, and that's it. That's why it's here. But unfortunately, we're not asking them whether you can or whether or not you can. We say we don't want to can. We say no, and that's what we're having the issue. So the issue is we're going to table, we're going to postpone, and we're going to let Jim go further into this issue, and he'll bring it up when he finds a solution or to our question.
And I had already said, did you withdraw your first motion?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Gavira?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Rodriguez. Motion passes.
All right, 26, discussion action to propose cleanup and possible demolition project on 12 properties as per ordinance 109 and 25 of the city of Socorro, Texas, related to vacant and dilapidated buildings. The planning and zoning department recommends approval.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion made by Mr. Pettis, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez to approve. Any discussion, Mr. Pettis?
Mr. Pettis was the second.
Mrs. Rodriguez? We're good?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I have legal advice for council on that issue. I ask that you take that in executive session for consultation.
Okay. Can we go ahead and have a motion to make the item to executive? Motion.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Gandara, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez to take this item into executive session. Item number 27. Do we have a motion? Do we have a vote? Go ahead.
Item number 26.
Yes.
You said 27.
No, 26.
Okay.
You gotta vote on it to take it to executive.
Okay, Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Gavira?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Rodriguez. Motion passes.
All right, 27. Discussion action to award informal bid solicitation for 2 Rockwell projects at Westside Boundary at Hobart Championship Park and City Planning Area located at Eagle R Street to Armando Mejia Trucking and Construction Company in the amount of $46,203. The Planning and Zoning Department recommends approval.
Can we have a discussion?
We have a motion made by Mrs. Rodriguez, do we have a second? Seconded.
Yeah.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez? Go ahead.
Where is that wall going to be? Mr.
Show me, por favor.
This section, the southwest.
On the back?
No, it's not included on this. I'll conduct a different bid to include this and this L shape here to complete the whole project. Yes.
Guys, I'm gonna just throw this at you, okay? We're gonna build a wall on the west side. But you gotta understand that future use, that road is gonna be a four-way lane. That means that not only we might take out the pond, we're gonna have to take out the wall that we're gonna pay for. Okay? Just letting you know. So I don't think that it's in the best interest of our constituents to go ahead and build a rock wall at least, say, 50 feet from it, or maybe 75 feet, okay? Just for future references, because it is going to, and can you move it to the left? Your left. No, that's your right. Your left, right there, zoom in that out.
Are you not quoting me to the shuffle, Mr. Ryder?
Now, what? Yeah, no, that's right, look, you see that home, the very doorstep should be, no, the one right next to the park. Right there, that one. The setbacks is gonna affect that home. So when it does turn into a four-lane, we're gonna have to purchase that land.
Okay, when did we decide that we're gonna make?
No, I said future,
But,
because it is there for the future.
no,
Well,
but
I
I mean,
understand that, future thoughts. When did we
go
decide
ahead,
that?
Mr. Melny.
No.
Let me tell you this is something that we should not be discussing in public, because that could be used as a predetermination of a road.
Oh, okay.
And it's, we will be disqualified from text.
It's frustrating in a sense, right?
Yeah, I know.
Before the part was built, I remember talking to different people, I don't remember who right now, but they never gave me any concrete proof that there was going to be a road.
There's not even a conception.
No, because more than anything else, that's a city-owned road, right? I mean, like Horizon right now is being done through the state, but for that to be a four-lane road, the state would have to come back and be like, hey guys, we'll put the bill to make it wide, which I don't see that happening, considering the
So that's
time.
what we did in Horizon.
No, but I'm saying like that's like way.
And it goes back to the same thing.
It's gonna be up to us.
Yeah, it's gonna be up to us whether or not. So I'm just saying, just the rock wall right there.
It's a future.
So it might be, it's
Yeah, wish list.
It's like a wish list, but you see, we have to be progressive and we have to think ahead of time. So it's up to you guys. All I'm saying is.
Take out all those houses and everything.
Okay, where's the rock wall gonna go again? Just on the west side?
We have 5 cars, it's gonna be an issue.
Just on the west side from Buford to the end?
Yes, sir.
That's it?
I just want to find out, and the other one is,
I think we put that one as a little hard.
here. Here. We have the problem with the kids making a shortcut to go to the school and, putting the liability on the cities because they are, crossing to the bottom of the chain link fence and also jumping on the school from our ponding area. And I have respect from the neighbors. The neighbors is asking for this improvement.
I just want to find out how, it says it's an informal bid, how informal was it? I mean, what kind of documents were requested?
Okay, we have cost estimates or proposal from 3 different companies, and it is informal because it's up to 5 it's almost the same thing, distance.
If I
Which is
may,
here,
if I may,
on the
Mr.
rear
Ronnie,
side. Obviously,
Mr. Ronnie, will you have your hand right now, your cursor, will you have your hand?
here,
Okay, now go back this way. Oh, no, the other way, I'm sorry. Okay, now go up. Right there, right, the little red dot.
okay.
Is that about the same length of doing this west stop wall? Instead of, in other words, can we, you say we can change it from the west side to the south side?
Let me measure.
Because you got residential there. What I'm looking at is residence. Over here in the upper part of Buford, that land is part of that cemetery, right? Part of that, what's her name?
Yeah.
Donation.
Where the old mission used to be.
Yeah, that's not a listed property.
So, right here, you have residents in this area here, and then over here, you have all these homes and whatnot, and it's the backside. I think Gloria's onto something there.
See, how much would it be just to have the wall on the back side of the park? If it's cheaper than the other way, I would rather have it on the back.
Jim, do we have to ask, can we split the cost, like on the south side, with the residents, if we tell them we're gonna put up a rock wall? I'm just wondering if we could do that. I know that the neighbors do that all the time.
I did it with my neighbor. I said, hey,
Yeah.
if I do, I encroach in your property, and he waived it, so.
If they agree with this, we will go up to this point with the same land.
So you would start where, Mr. Leoni?
Here,
Okay,
here, and then here.
okay.
Which is the
Okay,
same land.
but
Okay,
if you just do the back side only,
yeah, just the backside.
how
That's
much
it.
would it take?
Okay,
Just divide the square feet.
Mhm.
I would say we will be eliminated about 20%, 25%.
I'd say just the back right now.
Okay.
What do you think?
I agree with you on the backside, but I think that we need to approach these neighbors, all those people along that street, and ask them if they'd be willing to split the cost with us on a rock wall fence. And maybe cut the cost a little bit. I don't know if people are not.
Sam, like I said earlier, my question ties in with Mr. Perez's question. The bid is a little bit formal. Look at the fact, of course, and have we done business with this, again? Has it done any of the projects in the city before?
Yes, it did demolitions.
Okay, because what I noticed on the, especially on the roofing, was that it was like, I mean, I don't know, it was like a low ball offer, it was like a lot of money underneath what the other two were bidding. And even right now that I'm looking at the difference between this one and the second highest, second lowest wasn't that much, but I mean, just like the input, the job description, build rock wall with footing of 1 foot deep, 1 foot wide, 6 foot high, and 6.59 feet for a total of 20,000. Like that's it. I mean, the other guys were kind of more itemized, like they seem more professional. So I guess my question is, I mean, have we done business with this gentleman? Because it just seemed like it didn't seem like legit or something. I don't know.
Well, the only experience that we have had with this company is, as I mentioned, the demolition.
Because see, in the other one, it was like 13,000. That was just my question. I was like, well, these were like really
Yeah, one of
big.
them for the
JMP.
$70,000.
And just because it is the material that he submitted, I was like, it seems like he just typed it out like 3 sentences and that was it. So I was just curious if we had done any business with him because it seemed kind of not very professional. Yeah. Just
Remember when they built the rock wall right there by the convenience center? It's a long one, and it was only, what, 45,000? But it's long.
I think that's what you call a balloon.
What's the balloon?
Never mind.
that's what Renee does that.
Mr. Young, is that practical? What I'm recommending or suggesting, is that practical that we can ask the residents to, what I'm saying, from your point of view?
Well, because if they accept, I don't see why not. But the thing is, because of the fact it's a municipal project, I don't think we should be relying on the possible cooperation from.
Well, hey, Sam, if they say yes, I mean, wouldn't hurt
If
for us
they
to
say
think,
yes,
hey, you
fine.
want your road paved and pitch in? If they say yes, then we say yes to see.
Yeah, or like you're gonna build a
That's
rock
what
wall.
we're doing.
Also, I have no interest in building a rock wall.
Well, you know what, you listen to us.
Can we
and
go
ask.
ahead?
Yeah.
Want me to do what?
I can do it.
The city would like your cooperation in building a rock wall. It is a community
But
The
the
back and the other.
From one point to the next.
That's what
That affects the overall price.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So then you have to go back and rebid that back space.
So should we just ignite this and then bring
Well,
it back in another?
yes, indeed.
Yeah, because it says west side here too, for that.
Motion to delete.
There's one on the south side.
Second.
I think.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, to delete, seconded by Mr. Cox. Go ahead.
You understand?
Yes, to get the length and the location of the.
And see if the neighborhood was willing to
Yes.
chip in,
Okay, no problem.
negotiate, come on.
Yeah, we're good.
President, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Granda? Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Reed? Motion passed.
Item 28, discussion action to award informal bid solicitation for the roofing project at the administration building located at 124 South Horizon to our non-Lincoln Trucking and Construction Company in the amount of $13,150. The Planning and Zoning Department recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
What's the second?
That's for the applicant.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Granda?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Reed?
Motion with the close.
29, discussion action regarding waiving first policy for engineering design services for Model Rosas Park. Do you have a motion?
I have, well,
Motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Is this one, is it one of the 30,000?
Second.
We have a
from the
motion
300,000.
design.
From 300,000, yeah.
Motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez to approve. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
I want to hear about Mr. Rodriguez.
No, this is actually
Mr. North.
Oh,
Mr. Rodriguez.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rodriguez.
Essentially, this is the architect who did the original design on the park from the very beginning. Because it's being redesigned and downscale, and the contractor who was working on it is no longer around, it would require redesigning, rebidding, and going through that process with a downscale amount between approximately $300,000.
Mr. Norfleet, what is the, so I was trying to figure it out, and I have it here above my head. What is the amount that we would be paying for the engineering design?
Approximately, the whole thing is approximately $60,000. Literally just to do the first portion is like, about 50, I'm sorry.
So there's no way we could do it the way it used to be?
If you
With
pay
the
more
same-
money, yes. But on the, what's being
It
proposed,
needs to be done.
it's a percentage of that. In fact, if you look in the middle of it, there's like a sheet to show the cost breakdown. And it's $58,058, but with the anticipated bill back portions, it's, maybe like another $1,500 or $2,000 of bill back material, like design, approximately $60,000.
All right, all
So
right.
the people that were designing it are no longer in business?
The people who were doing the construction is no longer in business with the original design and a downscale design.
Which were, what's the name of them again?
This is Park Hill Smith and Cooper, who is the architect for the design and monitoring the project, that everything is going properly, and to conduct the bidding.
And why exactly are you requesting that we waive the purchasing policy?
The purchasing policy, to me, has a slight discrepancy in terms of whether or not professional services, if it's over $50,000, has to be rebidded out totally. With the contract with the architect who already has the survey and all the other materials, it would be extremely difficult to say, okay, let's bid the whole thing out from scratch all over again, and potentially end up with the same vendor, because the other ones have not seen the park, don't have an idea about what the design is or anything like that. That's why I'm making that sort of a request.
Mr. Mayor, can I do that? The problem is, as Mr. Northleaf alluded to, there's a general bidding requirements in state law. There's a very explicit exception for professional services. Under a purchasing policy, it's not so explicit. It's a little fuzzy. And so I think a fair reading of our purchasing policy is, doesn't matter if they're professional services, you still have to bid it out. And the problem with that is what I've got on the screen there, it's 2254.003 of the Texas Government Code. It says you cannot select a provider of professional services on the basis of competitive bids. And for over 5 to up to $24.99, and for 25 to 50, our purchasing policy says you seek competitive quotes. This says you can't do that. And then to be more specific, for engineers, you go down, you're procuring to 2254.004, in procuring engineering services, you shall first select the most highly qualified provider based on demonstrated competence and qualifications, and then you negotiate a price.
So you RFQ first?
Actually, no. It's interesting. Many entities, governmental entities, use RFQs. They're not required. You do not have to have an RFQ. It's a good way to find the most qualified. That's a common way. How do we know who's qualified? Issue an RFQ, and we'll get 22 responses, and we'll pick the qualified ones from there. This situation, you've got it's a site-specific, project-specific task, and you've got an engineering firm that has a big history with that particular project. And so this is the one-off. Because that's the company that did it before, I think you can add it. You can say that they demonstrated competence and their qualifications for this project, so we're going to negotiate a price with them. So I think you're safe under state law, but it's not so clear under our purchasing policy as we're actually doing.
And that's what you're bringing to. So, meaning that, again, we should bring back the purchasing policy and make sure that it's correct. And that's why you brought back 37 as well.
Because of that.
It's a broader issue, and I don't mean to criticize Betty Knight. She did really good work with what was initially a pretty darn poor product. She's made it into a solid B, but it's got some glitches. It doesn't quite fit with state law in some parts. Yeah, and an educator board, it's an B. You might have said.
So your recommendation is to
approve this item.
approve this item?
Yeah, you're good with state law. All you're doing is waiving the purchasing policy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martinez. This is the first time you come for council like that. Look at you. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve.
Mr. Rodriguez stepped down and she made the motion, so proceed.
She made the motion, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Rivera?
Because I believe it is illegal, and we did not go out to bid for these services on our own.
Mr. Cox?
We did not go out to bid for this? Did I miss something? We did not go out to bid.
We discussed it, clarified it very clearly.
It was a different kind of bid process?
No. Originally, it was a request for qualification, and that vendor was selected. Originally, yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, and Mr. Rodriguez stepped down. Motion
Right.
passes.
Moving on to item number 30. Discussion action on adding Dinding Road to the list of streets to be paved. Do you have a motion on this?
A motion. I'll make a motion.
Yes.
Yes.
You have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Gonda. Any discussion, Mr. Cox?
No, if this is the portion of Dinding Road, Mr. Leone, do you have an overhead on that, on Dinding? Is this the area where it goes around the curve and then towards San Eli? It's in real dire need.
The Doug is this one, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know who had this. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yes.
You do have an overhead?
Yes. No, but I mean, like, yes, that's the part that we.
It's after you turn.
See, because, like I said in the backup, once the list grow, and they grow, and they grow, and they grow.
Fine.
So I asked Doug if it was private or public, he said it's a city-owned road, but of course not all of it needs to be paved, only parts of it, that's something that we're talking about.
Yeah, probably you didn't approve it, someone, or planning department, you should, check the ownership of that right of way.
Yeah. So before we do, we want to.
No, go ahead and approve it, and that's it.
But with the condition that
I mean, of course, if it's not.
because there's, in that email that was exchanged between Mr. Lobdell and the mayor, there's one that's underlined that says it is not a city street, and then it goes to the other side. and it
No,
says-
San Miguel,
He was asking a
San
question.
Miguel.
He was asking a
It's
question.
because constituents wanted to pave, for us to pave San Miguel, and then I asked Doug, and he says, no, that's not a city-owned road, San Miguel isn't. That's right next to the mission. Yeah.
All right. No, and if it is ours, I'm in favor of it. It's a number 5, it's a 5 for me, big time, I saw it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve.
Okay. Mr. Pettit?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Guerrero?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Rodriguez? Yes. Motion passes.
All right, item number 31, discussion action amending the contract with city manager Will Norfleet.
I would like to make a motion to move this to executive.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to go ahead and move into executive in a second.
Okay. Mr. Pettit?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Guerrero?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Rodriguez? Yes.
All right, moving on to 32, discussion action to instruct city manager to direct grant matter to develop a parks master plan.
Make a motion to approve.
I second it.
Motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Cox to approve. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, I put this in the agenda because when we went to, well, with the mayor, conference of mayors, when I was doing the networking, I asked a lot of questions to different mayors. They all came with the same solution. We're discussing about parks, okay? And the issue is that, the issue I have with parks is, people have a misconception, and it goes back to the same thing, that I don't like parks. I do like parks because I use them regularly. But one of the issues is that we're using 100% of our capital. That means we borrow money or something, and we use it to use on a park, where, you know, other municipalities and mayors have told me, you know, that's the wrong way to do it, because you could have stretched that mighty dollar. As you guys recall, we put $1.2 million aside for future projects, which is at $500 each, which would include our $100,000. Therefore, we will have 12 projects. If we decide to move on projects, you know, we can ask for grants, and all the mayors that I spoke to said the same thing. There are grants, but the only issue is that you guys, since you don't, they asked me, do you have a master plan for parks? I said, no. Like, well, then you're not eligible to receive grants. You may be something very small, but when you want to do something big that's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, then it would be beneficial for your city to do a parks master plan. And that's why I brought it here, because we need this, because I understand that some of us want parks and we're gung-ho about them, but I don't want to squander 100% of our taxpayers' money, where we could have our government pitch in 80%.
Mr. Gomez and Mr. Rodriguez.
We have a master plan, right, that was proposed by the previous council and given completion. Was there any discussion? I guess Mr. Leone would be in charge.
For the master plan, it does specify that we don't have a parks master plan, and that was a subject that we touched lightly on before. Mrs. Rodriguez had directed Mr. Lage to go ahead and look at grants for parks, if I remember correctly. Most of the stuff that's in the master plan related to parks is like, it's not ADA accessible, things like that, so that was the most that it talked about.
So should we make a motion to amend?
No,
you need a separate one.
It's a separate.
You need a separate one.
Could I ask Mr. Lally to come over here and elaborate?
Okay, that was going to be my question.
Good evening, Anibal Lagi with Special Finance.
Okay.
Yes, as the mayor stated, last year we had the discussion. The question was whether we could apply for parks, and so I went back and did some research. was recommended by Representative Rodriguez. And the existing plan that the city has under the master plan does not comply with the state's requirements. So the state has guidelines of what is to be that plan. And after we did a review, determined that we're not meeting those. We have to amend it or do a new one, submit it to the state of Texas for approval. And once it's approved, then we could be considered for application under the Parks and Wildlife.
Thank you.
Why do you want the grant to develop a master park?
So that he can successfully.
Well, I understand that this, but as far as going to the
Thank you,
grants,
Mr.
but
Lyon.
the master plan would be from.
Oh, no. I mean, that's why I'm leaving it up to Northleaf.
Well, you're saying the agenda to direct the grant writer, and I agree with Mr. Cox on this one. I don't think anybody is the one that should be responsible for drafting the master plan. I think once the master plan for parks is drafted and approved, then Aniba steps in and starts saying, hey, we have the master plan, we can go ahead and apply for grants. But I don't think the grant writer is the one that's going to be doing the writing of the master plan. I think that's a separate company, unless I'm wrong. What do you think?
We could do that, to be a separate company, although we have done those plans in the past. We started doing some work towards this plan. We did a couple of public hearings that we coordinated last year, and it's just a matter of putting them together, and we have to do more work on it. But it's up to the city whether you want to have the plan back together. So we modify my scope of work, or
I think the scope of work will be modified.
I think that if time and effort has been put into developing the parks, a master plan, to include into the master plan parks, if I'm understanding correctly, you would have a company incorporate the feedback that they've gotten from staff and from public hearings or public meetings to get that done, no?
But you already did the research.
Well, that's
One
what
of
I'm
the
saying.
things that we bring the company and say, give us what you have, and we'll go ahead and add it onto what we're going to do. I mean, if we're going to do things right, then it should be through a company that does these sort of things. I mean, nothing against anyone, but he's our grant writer, and we have a master plan, and then he uses that to say what we need, the infrastructure, things like that. We didn't exactly instruct anybody to do the master plan of the city, because that's not what he does. He's our grant writer, he goes for grants. So I mean, yeah, it's better is right. We bring in a company, we let anybody talk to them and say, well, we don't have Doug as well, he's the part under him. So yeah, we have a lot of sources here.
Yeah, but he's telling you that he's done it.
Well, I mean, that's just a thing that council can choose. We can say, let's go with Aniba, or let's go with a separate company. That's totally up to you all. Well, the motion right now is as reads to direct the grant writer to develop the master plan. We have a motion and a second. Are we sticking with that? No, that's what I'm saying. Like, the motion right now is for Aniba to do it. That's what the motion says, because that's what the agenda item means.
Is to instruct city manager to direct grant
Yeah,
writer.
that's what I'm saying. So it will be Aniba. So are we sticking with that then?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
Well,
Mr. Rodriguez made the motion, Mr. Cox seconded it.
What was the motion again?
To approve.
hold on. Mr. Norton, what do you suggest we go about this?
I would personally get a consultant to draw a park plan, and if he wants to be sure that the items that he feels needs to be in it, he can look and say, well, this is missing and that's missing, and proceed in that manner.
So we have to delete it.
Okay, so then, no, we don't delete it, we just
Can't change it.
amend it.
You can't change it.
No, you would have to bring it back.
Okay, then
You would have to delete it, because the item says to either approve this or no.
I was promised.
Yeah.
Not on the motion. I was promised.
No, and that's what
Are you gonna withdraw it then?
Yes, I'll withdraw my motion, delete.
Okay,
And that's it.
so Ms. Rodriguez has made a motion he's gonna withdraw his motion to approve. He's put a new motion to go ahead and delete the item, which has been seconded by Mr. Cox. Any discussion on that? Mrs. Rodriguez?
No, I'll bring it back up. Yeah, we're gonna delete it and then go with the recommendation with Mr. Norton.
You have to put another item.
Yeah, I'll put it up for next week. And then we'll get his input as well. We're gonna get his input.
But we have to follow the protocol. We have to follow the protocol.
All right, so-
Mr. Aníbal is extremely important because he has to apply for this grant.
Yes.
And so he's gonna have his opportunity to.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to go ahead and delete the item.
Okay, Mr. Pettis?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Alvarado? Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Rodriguez? Motion passes.
Item number 33, discussion action to instruct city manager to negotiate with the city attorney to reduce the cost of legal services for provided to the city and bring forth any proposals to city council for discussion and approval. Do we have a motion on this?
Motion to executive session to release it.
Second. We have a motion made by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez, to take it into executive session.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem.
No.
Your attorneys aren't employees, they're contractors.
Yes, so,
And so, and unless you're receiving advice from an attorney, I don't think you can take it into
I mean,
executive session.
we can just approve it, because you're just directing the city manager to meet with Jim later anyway, so yeah, he's
Okay.
right, we don't. he's
Then if you
not-
wanna, I already have the motion,
Okay, so approve.
but.
With my motion, what was the motion? To
Uh,
go to executive session, right?
Yes,
So
we're
we're now going to executive discussion.
No, we can't.
Okay.
Okay.
So Renee,
I'll withdraw my motion to adopt the second.
And then I'll make a motion to approve.
all right, so we have a motion to go ahead and approve this item, made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Cox. Any discussion on that?
Mr. Pettis?
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Guerrero?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Rodriguez, motion passes.
All right, moving on to 34. Discussion and action to have a city manager to negotiate or amend a services contract between the city of Socorro and Board of Community Development Consultants Inc. for grant writing and grant management services. Do we have a motion on
Make
this?
a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Pettis to approve. Any discussion, Mr. Rodriguez?
It's the same as previous.
what do you
What
need?
means it was previous?
Oh, the previous agenda. This is the same, they're not employees.
No, we obviously approving.
Yes, I'm approving that.
Okay.
For the reason that it's the same, they're contract employees. I mean, they're contracted. Yeah, you're proposing to hire another? No.
No, he's basically saying to lower to 50.
What?
To discuss, have the city manager discuss, this contract, to negotiate this contract.
Right now it's at 80.
As far as what?
This contract up?
We don't have.
What's the already up, Mr. Norby?
It hasn't, you know, I don't think you have an expiration date on it.
No, he's like the city attorney, we don't have an expiration date.
So what are you proposing here to amend?
To have a discussion with Mr. Norfleet and Mr. Olaez.
Well, the fact that he listed-
We're discussing, see, just like the attorney, if he can, help us out.
The backup that Mr. Rodriguez is proposing is to go ahead and put it at 50,000. I think right now it's at 80, if I'm not mistaken, so it'll be a 30,000 decrease. That's what he's recommending.
Mr. Pettis?
Okay,
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mr. Guerrero? Mr. Cox?
I need clarification, please. We're not voting, the motion is to have the city manager negotiate.
That's correct.
Okay,
Right.
not to go with his cost figures that he's talking about.
Right.
I just want to make sure I got it
Well,
right.
that's what we want to negotiate too, according to the agenda and the backup. Like, that's basically where we want to be at, unless it's a different number.
No, it's a negotiation.
So put to 50.
So if
Is that the lowest, is it the highest that he wants to go?
this is a negotiation, that's a number that I would like, but it could be higher, it's just a negotiation. The number doesn't matter, but I want it to
The
be.
money number does,
The money number does not matter, the money
So
is
this is what Ms. O'Reilly.
with the city manager is
Well,
gonna take care of
hold on a
it.
second, because then I'm a little bit confused on this one, Renee. Because if the money doesn't matter, then that
Well,
means that we
then, I
hold
just-
on, that doesn't mean. It means that we could go up, or it means that we could go down. Do you want him to decrease his price? Because
Well,
I mean, the backup is
he's
50,000.
at 80 right now,
Yeah.
so what I wanna say is, you know what, hey, we, because we're doing it with our attorney's fees as well, because, I think that,
So it'll decrease.
it's a decrease.
Right, so
Okay.
decrease it.
then I'm gonna vote no the way it reads. I'm sorry, I can't accept this.
And Ms. Rodriguez?
I just don't want to make a mistake here.
That's why you vote no. And then come back and bring it back the way it's supposed to be.
We can bring it back how it's supposed to be?
The way, we need to correct it, because right now the way it reads, he's putting a price figure on it,
Yeah, okay,
50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can bring it back and do it whatever way it is. Can we write it down?
We'll get together and I'll bring it back. Renee.
All right, moving on to item number 25. Discussion action to direct city manager to create a public works foreman position with a salary adjustment of $2,500 over and above the grade of machine operator and below public works supervisor. Position is to be filled from in-house employees. Do you have a motion?
Before we go any further, Mayor, please, I had asked the attorney to review this item where I placed it in here. And he instructed me at the time that he had not looked at it yet to go ahead and put the item on the agenda. And he would research it and then get back with an answer for me. So before I go any further with it, I'd like for it to be based on what the research came up on.
Sure, and by the time I got the answer, we'd already posted it, so that's my fault. But I think you're free to consider it. I don't, and Adriana, I'm open to your input. The whole point of the civil service system is to make them open a position, you accept applicants, everyone who's qualified, and it's a merit-based system, you get the best applicant. I don't think we can limit it to current employees. It's sort of antithetical to the whole point of the civil service system. So current employees get a little loose if there's a tie. Okay, see, if they're deemed equally qualified, then they automatically get in the current system. But that's about as much as we can do. So you heard it from me.
Based on the recommendation from the city attorney, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to delete this item.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mrs. Rodriguez. Any discussion, Mr. Cox?
No, I want to get it right before I do anything.
I just think that I'm just gonna caution us collectively that this is not a good practice of coming up and trying to set salaries or increase or decrease, whatever the case may be, without going through the staff first, and maybe discussions have been taking place, but we're not the body to do that.
Right, and what else Mr. Pettis says, I mean, I agree, we've already had this session last time. I think deleting it is the wrong way, because that means it will be brought back again, and we'll have the argument